No, he's here.
Oh, there he is.
Hello there, Wolfpack. Catastrophe's back with another surprise tier list stream. Yep, I had another one in me. Don't get used to these, I do have other videos planned, but hey, I wanted to rank these for a long time. Hey Wolfpack, Catastrophe's back, and as you can guess, we're talking about Star Wars. More specifically, the prequel era of Star Wars. Because I actually like the prequels, and a big reason why is it had all the best Jedi warriors. Yep, we have all the Jedi from the prequel era, all the Sith and Jedi on here, from the Phantom Menace to Revenge of the Sith. I want to rank them all because I actually really love the prequel era. It has some of my favorite characters, specifically my favorite Jedi, and I am a huge Clone Wars nerd. Love the original series. I actually finally got all the DVDs, so I have a familiarity with most of these characters. So yeah, this is going to be another tier list stream. If this is your first tier list ever, I'll explain it for you. I'm going to be ranking all these characters, the Jedi Warriors, the Sith Lords, General Grievous, all the characters who wielded lightsabers, ranking them from best to worst on this tier list. I'm going to be putting all the characters up here on this list from best to worst. So up top is the top slot. This is S tier. These are the 10 out of 10 characters, the Master Jedi, the Great Warriors, and my personal favorites. These ones I think are the absolute best Jedi and Sith Lord warriors, and they'll be up here on top where they belong. Then we have A. These ones, they're good. They're good, not great, some flaws, but overall they're badass. They're cool, they're wicked, they kick ass, and they laid their mark on Star Wars history and among Star Wars fandom. Just making sure my microphone works. Okay, it looks like it's on. Alright, then next we have B. These ones, they're okay. They're the decent ones, they're passable, they did their job, they had a lot of good going for them, but an equal amount of bad. There are some criticisms here and there, and they basically are average. They're B for basic. Then we have C. These ones are weaker, they're below average, they have a lot more missteps than hits. Star Wars Wars not make one great. Hey, John Smith, glad you made it. Making sure you guys can hear me. Yeah, looks like the mic's on. Alright. Then we have C tiers. These ones below average. Basically, they had some hope there. Could have amounted to something. They might be characters other people love more than me, but they're going on C because they didn't quite make it. Then we have D. They're duds, lame ducks, they're weak, they're poorly written. They could have been something great, and I'm sure they have their fans, but ultimately did nothing, and mostly a bunch of forgettable characters will go in here, and there are a few faces I and even some hardcore fans might not recognize. Then at rock bottom we have F. Failures. These are bad characters. They are the awful ones. They're the worst characters ever, and we might actually see some faces down here if you know the prequels very well. Yeah, I'm not much of a Power Rangers guy, so I wouldn't have been very useful the past couple days. Yeah, it's okay, John Smith. I understand a lot of people don't keep up with Power Rangers, specifically all the good shows from the past. Got my 500 waters here to stay hydrated. Looking forward to this list. So, I've been trying to find a way to talk about the Clone Wars. My brother Wolf has been reviewing the episodes. I love the Clone Wars show. It is one of my favorite shows of all time, one of my favorite cartoons. It is peak Star Wars to me. I've always loved the prequels, even when I was a little kitten. I did grow up on them, so they do have a special place in my heart, and I love a lot of the characters. I recognize almost everyone on this list except for a few expendables or unrecognizable characters. The Clone Wars is an awesome show. We do have Asajj Ventress here and a lot of Clone Wars specific characters who had solo episodes. And we also have all the characters from Qui-Gon Jinn from The Phantom Menace all the way to, we have both Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader on here, so all the way to Revenge of the Sith. I will warn you, Revenge of the Sith is the cutoff time period. We're not going to be talking about, like, you know, from the Bad Batch onward, Star Wars Rebels, all that, after the Empire took over. It is prequel era specific only, so we got a whole bunch of prequel characters. Got the Sith Lords, they're the bad guys if you don't know. Darth Maul, Dooku, even General Grievous. And we got all the elite Jedi, Master Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and fan favorite Ahsoka, who's down here somewhere. Yeah, I'm gonna be ranking them all from best to worst. No Sabine. Sabine was not born yet, John Smith. She was not born yet. She grew up mostly under the Empire era anyway. These are all the way up to Order 66. We do have Kanan on here, but that's because he was around by then. So if you don't know, Order 66 was the end of the Jedi, so these are pretty much the last traditional Jedi Star Wars ever had. The true Force wielders, the heroes of the galaxy. This was the end of an era before Darth Vader and the Emperor took over. Yes, Palpatine's down here too. So yeah, all the greatest Jedi and Sith Lords. We'll be talking about the prequels and specifically the Clone Wars and possibly some EU material, the expanded universe, but we'll see. So yeah, let's just get this list started. So I suppose we should talk about the main protagonist of the prequel era, Anakin Skywalker. We have both Anakin and Darth Vader on here, which I find very funny. I did not make this tier list, I did find it, so if you're questioning why some characters are missing or why I didn't include this character like Kyle Katarn or whatever, I didn't make it, okay? So let's put Sky Guy up on the S tier. Yep, Anakin, still a rockin' character. Anakin Skywalker might be one of the best characters of Star Wars ever, even pre-Darth Vader, basically. If you don't know, Anakin was once a loser kid on Tatooine. He was a slave until Qui-Gon Jinn and his team of heroes chanced upon Tatooine, where they found out Anakin was a Jedi child, where Qui-Gon took him in and brought him into the Jedi world. Anakin is the main character in all three of the prequels and one of the best characters on Clone Wars. I do think Matt Lanter got to shine as Anakin a lot more than Hayden Christensen did. Hayden Christensen, not a bad actor, but also not super good either. Sorry, just checking my mic was on. Alright, so, yeah. Hey, Akira, glad you made it. Hi, Kat. Hey, glad you made it, Akira. So, Anakin, if you don't know, he was taken into the Jedi. He became a hero, a kid, finding his destiny, finding out that there was more to him. He could have been a great hero. He looked up to the Jedi, wanted to be like them, wanted to free slaves. Anakin, classical hero who wanted to rise to power, be the ultimate hero, only to tragically end up being the ultimate villain. So I see Anakin fights Terra from Kingdom of Hearts. Did he? I did not know that. So, Anakin, in a very tragic story, Anakin is basically treated with disrespect and distrust among the Jedi. Anakin is a very reckless Jedi. He's a cowboy. He's a loose cannon who doesn't play by the rules. There was a major good about him, though, how in the original Obi-Wan said he was a great pilot, but in Phantom Menace he was just a child goof. Well, he was a great pilot. He did blow up the Trade Federation ship, so really like Anakin, because of course you do. He wants to be a hero. He wants to do good. He wants to be the ultimate savior of the galaxy. However, it's very clear his pride, his recklessness, and abrasive, headstrong attitude is what causes a divide between him and the more calm, patient, wise sage Jedi Masters down below. If you don't know, Anakin, of course, ends up falling from grace. He becomes Darth Vader. Episode 2, he falls in love with Padme. He starts breaking a lot of Jedi rules, doing his own thing because he's a loose cannon. Like Naruto copy stars like Anakin is like Sasuke and Obito Uchiha. Yeah, I would say a bit like Obito. Personality-wise, he's got a lot of Naruto in him. Like anime made ninja Star Wars, yeah. So, I think Anakin is really awesome. He's badass, he takes charge, he doesn't play by the rules. It's very clear Anakin does have a good heart. He's compassionate and very emotional. He forms connections to Ahsoka, to Padme, to Obi-Wan, and unfortunately, he's not supposed to do that. The Jedi do not have, like, ties to mortal beings and like, you know, friends, relationships, and all that, because Jedi are supposed to be above that. They're supposed to be, like, warrior monks, and Anakin very clearly does not fall in line, but that's what makes him very interesting, too, because Anakin is basically his own man in this Jedi Order. We know the famous "no" scene when he became Darth Vader. Yeah, Darth Vader's also down here, and I suppose we should also put him up here, but I might put Darth Vader on A because he got much better when he became James Earl Jones. So, as you know, Anakin turns to the dark side. He listens to Palpatine more. Palpatine manipulates him, and the Jedi kind of lose friendship ties to Anakin as the story goes on. Anakin starts getting pissed off at the Jedi Order and their strict code. Palpatine manipulates him and gains his trust before he slowly becomes a Sith apprentice. He turns his back against the Jedi because the Jedi do not have his best interests in heart, always treat him like a kid. Even when he becomes a Jedi Master, he's not given the Council rank, and of course Anakin felt like he was kind of rejected, he was owed more, that he had such high hopes of being a great hero, and the Jedi have sort of blocked him from doing that, where he turns into Darth Vader. R.I.P. James Earl Jones. Yeah, he was the GOAT. Like Anakin beats Obi-Wan, but can't not defeat Obi too. Like, people want to put Darth Vader fight with Omni-Man and Saber from Fate. I could see him with Alter Saber, but not with Omni-Man. Omni-Man will wreck Obi-Wan. So yeah, Anakin turns into Darth Vader, and this is not the Darth Vader we know yet. This is basically evil Anakin. We see Hayden Christensen gains the yellow Sith eyes, the red lightsaber. He exterminates the Jedi, becomes Palpatine's new right-hand man, eliminates Count Dooku, eliminates the Separatists. They win the war, and unfortunately, we get to the final fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Anakin has finally turned against his master, thinking Obi-Wan has never loved him, and they at last cross lightsaber blades. And Obi-Wan pretty much defeats him effortlessly because he had the high ground. You're on a council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. What? Yeah, Mace Windu, total dickhead. Not gonna lie, he kind of was at fault for emotionally hurting Anakin a lot. By putting him on A instead of S, you were disrespecting the late James Earl Jones. Be like Vader in the third film and do the right thing. Okay, so he's not James Earl Jones yet. He becomes James Earl Jones when he gets the stupid mask on, when he becomes the cybernetic Sith Lord Samurai warrior we know and love. Technically, he's not the Darth Vader we know yet, which is why he's down a single rank. This is emotionally unstable, whiny, evil Anakin, basically an entitled man-child who throws a fit because the Jedi didn't give him what he wanted, what he deserved, or what he thought he deserved. He goes nuts, he murders children, and he gets his limbs cut off by Obi-Wan trying to jump him on the high ground, and yeah, basically, Darth Vader becomes better when he's reformed into a cyborg. This is prequel era Darth Vader, who is still just evil Anakin. He has the yellow eyes and the hooded robes, but that's about it. After he becomes a cyborg, James Earl Jones, I think he counts as a different character by then. But yeah, if this was cybernetic Darth Vader, he would go on S rank, but no, it's corrupted Anakin still. Like Darth Vader die on Death Battle by Doctor Doom and Obito? Aw, really? Obito beat him? I'm glad Anakin doesn't fight Shady Bug or Claw Noir from Miraculous. Me too, because they would have died easily. Like how it should have ended Darth Vader says, "I have a son" joke is funny. Anyways, classic Anakin. Hayden Christensen, I actually thought he was okay. Jake Lloyd was definitely way better, but Matt Lanter really saved this character. We are counting his Clone Wars interpretation too. Clone Wars actually redeemed a whole lot about Anakin, especially because a lot of people had problems with his turn to the dark side. Basically, the Clone Wars kind of shows you how Anakin slowly lost his friendship with the Jedi, how his friendship with Ahsoka changed him, how he and Obi-Wan kind of drove apart, like they had a rift between them by the time of Revenge of the Sith, and it definitely made a lot more sense and helped make the prequels better. Personally, I did not have a problem with the original 3 movies, but yeah, apparently the Clone Wars, a lot of fans felt it fleshed Anakin out more. But I think Anakin is pretty cool. He's going on S tier, but evil, bratty Darth Vader, he's going on A tier. If this was James Earl Jones with the cybernetic samurai look, yeah, he would be S tier too. But no, it's Revenge of the Sith Darth Vader, who is a whiny brat until he gets his limbs chopped off and is reforged into the ultimate badass. Star Wars made a what if Darth Vader with a white Darth Vader suit. He would look more like a cybernetic Klansman, though. Alright, so yeah. Anakin up top, Darth Vader, he's on A because he's saved by Hayden Christensen. Alright, so we should also talk about the ultimate villain of Star Wars, Emperor Palpatine. Unlimited power! Palpatine, yeah, he's gone on S tier too, and I will put him above Anakin, because the Emperor is one of the coolest villains of cinematic history. This is Palpatine, who's actually secretly the evil Emperor, the ultimate Sith Lord. Palpatine was once a student of the legendary first Sith Lord, Darth Plagueis the Wise. Darth Plagueis was a Sith Lord who mastered the power of immortality. He can extend your life force and keep you alive essentially forever, so he would be a Sith Lord, an eternal warrior. He mastered immortality to save the ones he loved, and Palpatine was Darth Plagueis' student. At least it's implied, but very much strongly inferred that yes, he was the apprentice of Darth Plagueis. Also, I see Korag from Power Rangers as a perfect Darth Vader opponent. Yeah, he is. I remember Palpatine versus Xena Hort is the MU that is cool that needs to be a death battle episode. Okay, so Palpatine, basically, he's implied to be the student of Darth Plagueis. Yeah, I think he actually is. He's the apprentice of Darth Plagueis. Plagueis passed on his immortality powers to him, where Palpatine pulled a Starscream and assassinated him, where Palpatine helped establish the rule of 2. There have to always be 2 Sith, a master and apprentice. Palpatine decided he wanted to be the master, so he murdered Darth Plagueis in his sleep. Ironic, he could save others from death, but not himself. Palpatine pretty much took the immortality power for himself, which explains how he's, still alive from all the way from episode 1 to episode 9. Snoke being Plagueis was a much better idea, would have tied everything without ruining things. Yeah, fully agree, Snoke should have been Darth Plagueis, but Kathleen Kennedy and her pride pretty much ruined that concept, and Darth Plagueis got a 2-second cameo in The Acolyte, where you could barely tell it was even him. Yeah, Plagueis deserved better. But yeah, Palpatine stole Darth Plagueis' legacy and became the ultimate Sith Lord. Palpatine, what makes him such a clever villain is that he's a puppet master. He's hiding in the shadows, manipulating events, basically the cause of the Star Wars. He's convincing politicians to infight, convincing like a war to escalate and having people fight, and Palpatine is weaseling his way up the political ladder. We see him start as the senator of Naboo, and in episode 1, he convinces them to depose the original chancellor. Terrence Stamp gets kicked out, and Palpatine is placed into power. He's like elected and he wins office, then he manipulates and causes a war so he can stay in there for emergency powers. And basically the twist is, Palpatine is the Emperor. He is the leader of both sides fighting the war. He is working behind the scenes, basically controlling both sides, and whichever side wins the war, he comes out on top either way. He's pretending to be the nice guy chancellor, basically the president of the galaxy. He pretends he's like this caring, compassionate politician guy. I love democracy. I love the Republic. Basically funding a clone army to have them fight, and On the opposite side, undercover is the Emperor. He's really the real leader of the Sith, the Separatists, the Confederacy of Independent Systems. He's using Count Dooku as like his figurehead, but in reality, Count Dooku's answering to him. So the Emperor controls both the battle droids and the clones fighting, and basically whoever wins this bloody war, he comes out on top at the end because he's controlling both sides. They're his puppets, his toys. Palpatine is the apprentice of Plagueis. There's a whole book about it. Okay, thank you, Bodhi. They implied it in Revenge of the Sith. I think it's painfully obvious that, yes, he is this apprentice of Plagueis. But yeah, some fans use that to say, well, he could not be. He could be like the apprentice of the guy who betrayed Plagueis. So yeah, Palpatine's manipulating both sides, and we find out he's pretty much behind all of Star Wars as a whole, and that's what makes him pretty kick-ass. And unlike a lot of these manipulators, Palpatine is not afraid to get his hands dirty when he has to. When we see the Emperor unleashed in both the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, he is pretty badass. I really like Ian McDiarmid's performance. He is great. He makes these movies. He's having the time of his life being the ultimate villain. Palpatine shoots like electricity, has his own lightsaber hidden. He pretty much disguises himself with just a hood before he gets his face deformed. It is pretty funny how absolutely nobody recognizes him. Like Season 4 of Creepshow have the video game episode Cheat Codes, which Game Over and Toy Train from the Haunting Hour but have bloody death. Okay. Haven't watched Creepshow. I don't have Netflix, I'm sorry. Anyways, Palpatine, really like him. He is kick-ass. He's an over-the-top, hammy, Saturday morning cartoon villain, but the guy playing him is excellent. He is enjoyable. He's the kind of guy you love to hate. He is one of the greatest villains of cinema history because the Emperor is ultimately the true evil behind everything in Star Wars, and that's what makes Palpatine pretty badass. Special mention going to how Revenge of the Sith has him finally making his move and taking over, how he pretends the Jedi were evil and tried to assassinate him, even though he was actually the evil one being arrested. What did I miss? I came in late. Hey, Batkid Shinobi, we're on Palpatine. We talked about Anakin and technically Darth Vader. This is corrupted Anakin. He's Darth Vader before he becomes James Earl Jones. Darth Vader made it to A. Anakin and Palpatine both are S. Creepshow's from Shudder, but YouTube have full episodes. I think that's the old Creepshow, though. So yeah, I like Palpatine. Special mention going into the Clone Wars where he fights Darth Maul and Savage Opress and yeah, pretty much wins. The Emperor is no slouch in a fight. He is a fully competent warrior and sitting in the president's office in his comfy chair has not diminished any of his skills all these years later. He pretty much is the polar opposite of Yoda. He's the most powerful, evil Sith Lord. He's a powerful Jedi. He survived Yoda's attempted assassination. He kicks ass, and it doesn't take until Luke, in a last-ditch effort, convinces Anakin to turn against him. But yeah, Palpatine, he's gone in S tier. He rules. The Emperor is definitely the supreme king who earned his title. Alright, so I think we should talk about another fan-favorite character. Let's finally talk about Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano used to be one of my Star Wars crushes, but now I graduated to Aayla Secura because Aayla is much hotter. But Ahsoka, really like her character. She is also going on to S tier. I know Bodhi is probably not shocked that, oh, I'm praising Ahsoka again. I used to have a crush on Ahsoka big time, and I did like her from the start. All these years later, I still like her as a character. Ahsoka is Anakin's apprentice. She only exists in the Clone Wars and all the side stuff, the expanded universe stuff. She's in the Clone Wars, she's in Star Wars Rebels, she cameos in Bad Batch, she's in Tales from the Jedi, and she has her own garbage live-action Disney Plus show. Yeah, don't watch the Ahsoka show, it is awful. Rosario Dawson was pretty enough to be Ahsoka, but did not do that character justice. I don't crush on Ahsoka, but I never said she was a bad character. Okay, Bodhi, I like teasing you because Ahsoka is totally hot, but yeah. Ahsoka is basically Anakin's new apprentice. Anakin has to learn responsibility, so behind his back, Obi-Wan signs him up for an apprentice, where we meet Ahsoka in the Clone Wars movie. Ahsoka is pretty much the kid appeal character, and Dave Filoni's OC and possible body pillow. Ahsoka is introduced as Anakin's apprentice, and basically they butt heads, but slowly but surely soon like each other and trust each other. Ahsoka proves she's battle competent. Anakin learns to care about her, basically becomes her father figure, and starts letting Ahsoka in, and she becomes one of his closest friends, and one of the biggest reasons why he sticks by the Jedi. Ahsoka pretty much has a lot of flaws. She is arrogant, she is brash, she's exactly like how Anakin was in Episode 2, and Anakin learns to become mature, learns to trust and rely on Ahsoka, and slowly but surely opens up to her, and teaches her important lessons to better herself. Ahsoka basically becomes better as the Clone Wars goes on. She gets a lot of kid-friendly episodes in the first season, but from season 2 onward, no, Ahsoka grows up pretty fast. I really love Ahsoka from Clone Wars. She's kick-ass, she's acrobatic. Dave Filoni gave her like a Japanese ninja warrior style for her lightsaber moves. We should have had her return in the season of Star Wars Rebels, not in live action and away from Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah. Also, they have a better Christmas special with were-animals fighting evil demon Santa. Yeah, that is much better. Okay, so I do like Ahsoka as a character. Some of my favorite episodes usually revolved around her, and yes, that was outside of my crush with her. I like when she's taken by those hunters, these Bossk species of these lizard men who hunt and poach Jedi younglings. They abduct Ahsoka, and Ahsoka learns fast to become independent. She becomes a leader. She starts stepping up. She does have her ego put in a check in a lot of episodes. Cad Bane once outsmarted her. She thought she had the upper hand. She beats up Cad Bane, but no, she fell for Cad Bane's trap and instantly becomes his hostage. Ahsoka loses early in the season, but starts to get better, slowly becomes badass. Unfortunately, I think Dave Filoni got way too attached to this girl because as the show went on, Ahsoka definitely started becoming a lot more protected and too OP. Hello there. Hey, just some random guy who comments. Like, I think Creepshow have an Evil Dead parody called Television of the Dead with Bob Ross as Ash Williams' clone. Would I remember how in the original Palpatine was played by a woman and his appearance resembled a reptile, but in the remaster they made him look better? Yeah, we showed a picture of that on our Star Wars tier list. Palpatine looked kind of like a lizard or a gorilla. Then they showed the actual actor with, like, age makeup on and made him look like a creepy old wizard. He looked a lot better in the remaster. So, I like how Ahsoka basically grows up. She gets her independence. She starts getting her skills better. One of my favorite episodes with her is when she loses the lightsaber and she has to find it back, like a pickpocket stole it from her, and she goes on a journey of her own to help get the lightsaber back. She pairs up with like this old Jedi master, Master Sanube, who Ahsoka does not respect at first because he's old and therefore uncool. However, Master Sanube teaches her a great lesson in patience and thinking smart, and that does help Ahsoka. And he had chimpanzee eyes. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, Master Sanube teaches Ahsoka how to be patient. Master Aayla Secura helps teach Ahsoka to think about the needs of the many and not just be herself, not the needs of the few. Basically, Ahsoka gets taught by every other Jedi down here, learns like a new lesson that helps shape her in the future, where she becomes the ultimate badass by Star Wars Rebels. Like, I see Count Dooku since to honor Christopher Lee, who was Saruman and Willy Wonka's dentist dad, Dr. Wonka. Okay, I won't bring up Sabine anymore after this, but her voice actress is cute in real life. She's one of Ted Danson's underlings on The Good Place, if you saw that. I know who Ted Danson is. I didn't know Sabine was Asian in real life, though. Yeah, Sabine's not on here because she wasn't born yet, guy. Alright, that's the thing. So, Ahsoka, I do like. I think she's one of the best characters on the Clone Wars. You really get attached to her, but we do get to the controversial part about her, how her tale should have ended. Basically, if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, it ends with Ahsoka quitting the Jedi Order. Ahsoka is framed by that evil bitch Barriss. She frames Ahsoka for a crime she didn't commit. There was a bombing at the Jedi Temple, and through wacky shenanigans, the Jedi Council and the police think Ahsoka did it. Ahsoka's on trial. The Jedi pretty much abandon her, throw her under the bus, don't defend her, and don't believe her case. However, Anakin, because he's a real one, helps prove Ahsoka's innocence and finds out that that bitch Barriss was the real bad guy. They cut her rat tail. See, we got Grievous on here despite not being a Jedi or a Sith or even a Force user. Well, he wields lightsabers, so we'll count him. Okay, so Ahsoka gets framed for a crime she didn't commit. It was actually that bitch Barriss. Anakin exposes her and reveals that Tano was innocent all along. So Ahsoka's cleared of all charges. However, this entire ordeal has completely shattered her faith in the Jedi Order, where Ahsoka decides she doesn't want to come back to the Jedi. She walks away. She leaves the Jedi behind after multiple seasons of how Ahsoka was bragging how she was going to be a Jedi Master one day, how she loved being a Jedi, how she defended the Order. She pretty much loses all respect for them and decides to abandon it because the Jedi did not care about her, did not believe her, and basically kind of broke her hero worship of them. My fan theory is that Satine and Obi-Wan had a secret kid, but the result of that legacy was ruined in the sequel trilogy. Yeah, thank Disney. Grievous deserves more love. We'll get to him next. So basically, Naofumi from Rising of the Shield Hero. Don't know who that is. So yeah, Ahsoka walks away from the Jedi in one of the greatest moments of the series. Basically, that is supposed to be the end of Ahsoka's arc. She is not going to be a Jedi. She's going on the lam. She's, I believe they call it a rogue Jedi or a gray Jedi. Yeah, basically she still has the Force and lightsabers, but she's not going to become a light side fighter. She leaves and abandons Anakin forever. And then the final season came and kind of ruined that. We get a lot of Ahsoka episodes because Dave Filoni pretty much made her his like waifu. Dave Filoni is way too attached to Ahsoka, and it absolutely shows. I'm not gonna lie, it really shows. Ahsoka gets way too much screen time in the final season. She has that god-awful story arc with the Martez sisters. Yeah, screw the Martez sisters, they suck. Then she comes back and she fights Darth Maul on Mandalore, and basically it's supposed to answer the question where Ahsoka was during Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith, and I think they did not need to answer that at all because I was fine with where her arc ended. Almost reminds me of the new Batman adventures where Robin quit being Robin and left Batman. Of course, there was no punching scenes. Yeah, that was pretty epic. Yeah, Ahsoka pretty much leaves the Jedi Order, only to come back. She's recruited by Bo-Katan because people love Bo-Katan from the Mandalore, and they defeat Darth Maul and depose his rule on Mandalore because that was a dangling plot thread from the final season Filoni failed to wrap up. Basically, Ahsoka returns and she teams up with Darth Maul. Order 66 happens and Ahsoka manages to save Captain Rex because Captain Rex is a fan favorite badass hero, and she releases Darth Maul, who, surprise, kills everyone even though she didn't want anyone dead. But Ahsoka's stupid like that. So yeah, basically Darth Maul escapes, Ahsoka and Rex manage to survive Order 66, and the two of them basically go on the lam, go completely AWOL. So that is kind of the bonus ending to Ahsoka, and yeah, I do kind of agree with the fans. She should have, died. She should have died in either Clone Wars, or at least in Star Wars Rebels. If you don't know, Ahsoka became Fulcrum. She's like an inside spy and benefactor for the Rebels team, and we find out it's Ahsoka from the Clone Wars, and yeah, I was excited to see her again. Ahsoka's fully grown up, and she's even hotter than before. Like, what horror TV show you want to review after you finish Goosebumps? Bro, you do know we still have The Twilight Zone. Like, people seem to have forgotten that The Twilight Zone still has a few episodes left. If it was not for it taking place at the same time as Episode 3, Obi-Wan would have gone to Mandalore. Yeah, he would have until Cody shot him down. Also, Coyote versus Acme is saved from being shelved. Oh, thank goodness. I hope that does good to rub it in David Zaslav's face when people laugh at it. Alright, so Ahsoka, I did not like how her ending was kind of ruined. I was perfectly fine with her walking away from the Jedi forever, leaving her fate ambiguous, and Ahsoka never looked back, never came back. She walked away, completely betrayed, but no, they kept bringing her back because Dave Filoni made her his waifu. Dave Filoni is way too in love with her. Tales from the Jedi showed that Ahsoka's so special, she's so great. Showed her origin, which we all already knew. She was adopted as a baby and raised by the Jedi. As a Cena fan, I will see that movie if it comes out. Okay, good for you. Well, we have Bone Chillers, Erie, Indiana, and Creepshow. Yeah, I might not do Erie, Indiana because it has, like, the same cast and kind of continuity. I'm not really into that. I don't really think I want to review something outside of, like, an anthology. They have the same cast in every episode, and that does not kind of appeal to me. It's a long story arc-driven season. Alternate Ahsoka ending, Guardian of the World Between Realms. Yeah, Dave Filoni's also tried to push that. So, for those of you who don't know, Filoni was gonna have basically the stupid Mortis arc come back, and is gonna have reincarnations of the father, son, and daughter. Anakin was going to be like the son, Ahsoka's gonna be the daughter, and Obi-Wan was the father. It was like foreshadowed in Clone Wars and basically led to this very long, elaborate story Filoni planned out for like 10 years, where the Mortis arc basically Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka live on. They became one with the Force and become the new guardians of the Force. The weird Jesus Messiah characters we saw. Yeah, you remember the Mortis arc? They're like trapped in like this magical Force realm. Basically, they were chosen by them. Obi-Wan will become the new father when he died. Anakin got reincarnated as the son. And Ahsoka, when she dies, she becomes the daughter. That is actually Filoni's thing, and I do not like that. I just don't. I'm sorry, I do not like the Mortis arc, and I think Filoni absolutely overly complicated Star Wars with it, and pretty much showed you how much he shills for these characters through it. But Ahsoka as a character from Clone Wars, I am still putting her on S tier because I do think she is absolutely a great character. Ahsoka used to be my favorite Star Wars character of all time, until Kathleen Kennedy and Filoni slowly ruined her. Special mention going to her Disney Plus show. But for me, Aayla Secura is definitely my crush. Ahsoka will still put on S though, because prequel era wise, she's still a great character. Alright, so let's finally move on. Okay, General Grievous. So, I know, technically he's not a Sith Lord or a Jedi, but he is a lightsaber wielder, and I did want to talk about him. So, it pains me to do this because General Grievous was one of the best villains ever on Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. Then after that, he pretty much sucked. General Grievous, painful, but I'm gonna put him on to A. But Bone Chillers have Creature, Teacher, then Goosebumps, Teacher, Creature, since it have a live Toad from Flushed Away as a teacher. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay, so General Grievous was friggin' awesome in the 2D Clone Wars. The Genndy Tartakovsky one, the one that looks like Samurai Jack in space. If you remember the 2000s, early 2000s Clone Wars tune, General Grievous was friggin' awesome in that. He was deadly, he was a cold-blooded, ruthless savage, a real sick, twisted SOB, and an army of clones and the best Jedi ever could not defeat Grievous. Then, unfortunately, Revenge of the Sith happened, and then Dave Filoni's Clone Wars happened and kind of nerfed him. General Grievous got horribly nerfed, starting with Revenge of the Sith. Basically, George Lucas's idea was that Grievous was supposed to be a overconfident, smug, mustache-twirling villain, and then Dave Filoni had him get duped by children. Like, is General Grievous feel like he is coughing? Okay, this is explained if you watch the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Grievous actually functioned 100% perfectly in the 2D tune. Like, literally, his robotics were fine. He was a deadly Star Wars Terminator warrior. He could shrug off attacks, pick himself up. So, at the end of the Clone Wars, when General Grievous abducts Chancellor Palpatine, Mace Windu ambushes him, and instead of fighting him, Mace Windu uses the Force choke on him, which breaks Grievous's systems. He, like, ruptures General Grievous's chest, and Grievous starts coughing, and his insides are completely ruptured, but he gets away in the end. And starting in Revenge of the Sith, he has this annoying cough. He won't stop coughing at the end of the sentences every time he talks, and basically Mace Windu damaged General Grievous, and that's why he coughs often. Unfortunately, Dave Filoni did not know that, so in the 2008 Clone Wars, he's doing his weird cough all throughout the show. Yeah, it is kind of a continuity error, but yeah, basically Grievous's systems were damaged. That's why he does the weird cough at the end of every sentence, because Mace Windu screwed up his insides, basically. However, Filoni is bad at continuity, so the CGI Clone Wars completely ignores that, and it's basically written off as like his systems are just really piss poor. He's like a Frankenstein's monster. General Kenobi! The Jedi Temple after the attack would be a paradise for Grievous. Yeah. Also, 2D Clone Wars is no longer canon. Don't. Yeah. That is the only reason why Grievous is up here. I loved him on Genndy Tartakovsky's 2D Clone Wars. That General Grievous is badass. He is the best character in that. He is like the ultimate villain. Tartakovsky like really built him up. This was because General Grievous was a last introduced character in Revenge of the Sith, and the Clone Wars kind of set him up. They set him up like he's this big badass warrior. He's the true muscle behind the Separatists, and to be fair, Filoni did kind of keep that up. Unfortunately, I think Filoni's show pretty much costed him the S tier. So, yeah, I loved him in Revenge of the Sith, too. It was very fun as a kitten, seeing him on the big screen in live action. I think the CGI has held up very well for Grievous. Unfortunately, he lost points because of Filoni's take on him. Like, okay, enough with bone chillers, Akira. Legends is miles better than the Disney canon. Yeah, well, most of it. Well, most of it, yeah. It is way better. What, you're saying you don't want to watch The Acolyte? That big hit? Alright, so Grievous, he wins points because of the Tartakovsky 2D Clone Wars. He is awesome in that. Unfortunately, Filoni completely nerfed him on his show. Grievous is pretty much a joke. He's an overconfident douchebag who gets angry all the time, punches battle droids. We see he is kind of General Kenobi's arch nemesis. He fights Obi-Wan the most. Anakin and General Grievous never meet face to face in the Clone Wars because in canon they meet each other for the first time by Revenge of the Sith. So, I don't like how Grievous gets, like, duped by children. He struggles to kill Ahsoka in their first duel, but they redeemed him in the Lair of Grievous and the Sisters of the Mist, the Evil Witch Sisters. General Grievous actually does get badass moments later. He fights Ahsoka, he kills Kit Fisto's apprentice and his clone backup. Kit Fisto manages to escape him because Kit Fisto's a badass, but Grievous, like, loses very badly. He basically gets duped by the children when they save Ahsoka, the Jedi younglings. I do not like that arc. Wrong, boo this man. Yo, cat, it's wolfing time. Okay, so Matthew Wood played him. Yeah, Matthew Wood does all the battle droid voices, and he does Grievous too. Very well, I might add. Hey, Emily, we're on General Grievous right now. I'm talking about how the Tartakovsky Clone Wars made him awesome, the 2D one. However, Filoni's Clone Wars kind of butchered him. I do not like how Grievous is treated in the CGI show. They ruined one of my favorite villains ever, and he is completely nerfed. He manages to kill Asajj Ventress's witch group. Her family all gets murdered, but he doesn't succeed at killing Asajj or Mother Talzin. They get away. I'm guessing that Mace Windu damaged his vocal cords much earlier in the timeline. Yeah, but it happened when he was abducting Chancellor Palpatine. Roger, roger. Who would win, Grievous or Maul? Oh, Darth Maul, easy. But yeah, General Grievous, I liked him. The Tales of the Empire kind of made him scary again. Matthew Wood really held that voice together. That voice was pretty awesome. Personally, I prefer John DiMaggio from the original Clone Wars, but yeah. Like Star Wars have an anime that was created by Kill La Kill creator. I know the Star Wars anime you're talking about, but I've never watched it. Anyways, General Grievous, I think he's pretty awesome. Love his forearms to his robot appendages, how he crawls around like a spider. He was savage as hell in the 2D Clone Wars. He nearly killed my crush Ayla Secura and Bodhi's girl Shaak Ti. They were both badly bludgeoned. Ki-Adi-Mundi would have died next if the clones hadn't showed up. I didn't have any problems with the CG in Clone Wars, though. General Grievous in Clone Wars, though he was pretty cool. They do explain the cog and some tie-in stuff to that show, which used to be on Star Wars website like 16 years ago. He'd also be a good drummer. Yeah, he would. Like no Star Wars tier list. Akira, we did do a Star Wars tier list. We did all the movies. Wolf and I did that as like the end of the year. Yeah, General Grievous, I think he's pretty cool still. He holds up well as a cool designed villain and as a pretty cool voice, pretty cool skills. However, Filoni ruined him by making him a coward. He's over-the-top confident. He gets angry at the battle droids all the time. Grievous pretty much smashes droids in anger, like how Megatron would beat Decepticon foot soldiers. Star Wars waifu tier list. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Okay, waifu tier list. Akira, did you see my top 10 waifus? My favorite Star Wars babe made it on there. I remember for a while before Revenge of the Sith came out, there was a rumor that he was going to be the one who killed Windu. That would have been pretty fun, but no, Windu gets killed like a bitch by Anakin and Palpatine. So if you don't know, Grievous dies in Revenge of the Sith, getting his heart blown up by Obi-Wan, and he's set on fire. I thought it was a pretty cool death scene, but I kind of wish the fight lasted a bit longer because it made Grievous seem like a punk. But yeah, General Grievous, I think he's still pretty badass, and he holds up pretty well as a villain. We'll put him on A tier because he is simply awesome. He would have made S tier if he was kept as cool as Tartakovsky made him. Alright, got plenty of Jedi to go. Alright, so we should talk about This is my apprentice, Darth Maul. Dun dun. Darth Maul, played by Ray Park in The Phantom Menace, and played by Starkiller from The Force Unleashed in Clone Wars. Darth Maul, yep, he's going on S tier. I absolutely love Darth Maul. Darth Maul is one of my favorite bad guys ever, and he did completely replace General Grievous after Filoni ruined him. Is Grievous an alien or an evil droid? In expanded material, Bat-Kid, they explain General Grievous was a living alien. He died in like an unfortunate accident. However, the Separatists rebuilt him. Grievous was once a living alien being, and he was reforged into this monstrous battle droid. Grievous is a cyborg. We do see he has organs tied to him. He has like his brain. He has a heart. He has like his alien eyes. Basically, he was kind of a brain in a jar like Baxter Stockman, and the Separatists rebuilt him. He was a living alien. Hail Wolf Entertainment. Hey, backseater. Surprised to see you here. Like Star Wars music tier list. That one might be hard. I have to listen to all of them. Imagine if imagine if Grievous survived his fight with Obi-Wan. He may have dueled Anakin on Mustafar. Yeah, but Anakin would have wrecked him. Plays Duels of Fates. Yeah, that one is S tier music. Grievous is a Kalish. That's the name of his species. Yeah, see, he was a real alien person. Grievous was also made cyborg against his will, something else Filoni retconned. Yeah, Dave Filoni sucks at continuity. I mean, look at the Bad Batch, so yeah. Anyways, Darth Maul, really like him. If you're surprised why he's on this high, this is because Darth Maul did not die at the end of The Phantom Menace. He survived being sliced in half and thrown down a bottomless pit. How? Because Darth Maul's rage and hatred of Obi-Wan kept him alive. Yeah, really, that is his story. Worst crime committed by Maul, to my knowledge, killing Satine and ruining Obi-Wan's chances of happiness. Yep, then the fans saved him. Ray Park was also the Headless Horseman in Sleepy Hollow, Toad in X-Men 2000, and Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra. Yo, Joe. All those movies are great, and Ray Park is great. So, Darth Maul is kind of set up as the fake-out villain in the movies. In the movies, he's Palpatine's first apprentice. Darth Maul is the figurehead Sith Lord, leading the charge for Newt Gunray's basically invasion of Naboo. We see Darth Maul is in charge of the battle droids at first. He and Palpatine were supposed to conquer the galaxy together. However, Obi-Wan ended up killing him to avenge Qui-Gon Jinn, where he fell down a bottomless pit, only to somehow survive thanks to his rage. Darth Maul wouldn't come back until a few seasons into Clone Wars, where it's revealed that Filoni did give the fans something. He proved that Darth Maul was still alive. There is an expanded universe comic where Darth Maul actually did come back to life. He gave himself new robot legs and hunted down Obi-Wan for revenge for the entire few decades he was off screen, and Filoni actually did make that canon. He brought Darth Maul onto the main show. He's recruited by his brother, Savage Opress. Savage is also down here, by the way. Maul is saved by Savage Opress and given new legs of his own. He gets his new, basically these weird General Grievous legs at first until those get broken and he gets regular humanoid legs. His rage and hatred kept him alive, cause I guess every Sith is Darth Sion now. Yeah. Ray Park didn't do the voice though. Yeah, that was some other guy dubbing him. I forgot his name, but I know he plays the Phantom Stranger on the DC Showcase. Apparently the Night Sisters and Maul are the same species. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Darth Maul and Asajj Ventress are both from the same species, who apparently look like satanic being aliens. Yeah, Darth Maul looks like the devil, which made him really scary to me as a kitten, while Asajj Ventress looks like a witch. Basically, Mother Talzin gives him new legs. Savage Opress looks to Darth Maul as his partner in crime, where Darth Maul regains his sanity and becomes the ultimate Sith Lord warrior, trying to rebuild his status as a great Sith like he was for Emperor Palpatine. Yeah, that's another retcon. There was even a comic where Darth Maul fought Darth Vader in Legends, though it wasn't like the real Maul. Okay. They shouldn't retcon the they should retcon the majority of the Disney canon and recanonize the EU. Yeah, they should, but that would be a smart move, and Disney's not full of those. Maul's a Zabrak. Ventress is a Ratataki. Okay, no wonder they didn't say their species names. Yeah, Maul is played by Sam Witwer, who played Glenn Merrick, aka Starkiller from The Force Unleashed, and it was really cool hearing him voice Darth Maul. Darth Maul never talked in The Phantom Menace, so yeah. He was also Ocean Master in Justice League Throne of Atlantis, which sucked, and Tanavik in Star Wars Online. The A-holes guy from Guardians 1. Bat Kid Shinobi based. Yeah, they should change that. So yeah, Darth Maul is basically revived in Clone Wars, and he sets out to get revenge against Obi-Wan, and they made Darth Maul super compelling and deep and really wicked as a villain. Darth Maul is pretty much reminding you why he was a deadly Sith Lord, why Emperor Palpatine saw greatness in him in The Phantom Menace, and how he is pretty much very close to Palpatine's skill of genius mastermind planning. He forms his own gang, or tricks the Death Watch into working for him, takes over Mandalore, and has Savage Opress as his right-hand apprentice, until Palpatine comes in and beats his ass, which is why Darth Maul is one tier below him. So yeah, Darth Maul pretty much gets beaten by Palpatine in the end, and unfortunately the one thing that pissed me off, Palpatine says he has plans for Darth Maul, but we never find out what the hell those plans are. It is completely forgotten about and not expanded upon, and basically an excuse to leave the window open for Darth Maul to come back in future Star Wars material. Which, of course, Dave Filoni jumped through 5 times over. Hey Kat, Chris here, see her on another list. Yeah, I'm doing my favorite prequel era Sith and Jedi. I really wanted to talk about this one. Like, Star Wars is cool, but Obi-Wan respected Darth Maul on the cartoon. Yeah, if you don't know, Darth Maul is still alive, and some people are confused because he's in Solo and Star Wars Rebels. Yeah, if you didn't watch Clone Wars, they show you how he came back. He got new legs, he's walking again, he got his sanity back, he almost conquered Mandalore, and yes, Darth Maul is now responsible for everything that happened to Mandalore society. He gets dethroned by Palpatine, but apparently he goes into hiding on Mandalore. It's not explained very well in the final season on Disney, but apparently Darth Maul is still on Mandalore trying to rebuild his empire. Apparently Palpatine let him live, but I still question that. Palpatine's evil plans, evil anger training. Should be for Maul. We have yellow Darth Maul. That is Savage Opress. Once when I went to a SuperCon a while back, I met a Star Wars fan who was also a foot fetish fan and told me that in the 6 movies only have 3 female characters who feet scenes, which are strange. Yeah, that is strange. Yeah, and monologue lessons. Darth Maul monologues a lot, but I think that's because they wanted to use Sam Witwer to the fullest degree. It was shown in a comic after he was dethroned by Palpatine. Yeah, I haven't read that, and it's not explained well in the final season. So yeah, it is a plot hole. Are the Fallen Order games canon? Marin's pretty cool. Sorry, Cal is not on here. He does not count. He is definitely a post-prequel Jedi. He was a youngling then, but we're not counting him, sadly. Only the ones that were in shows and movies. So yeah, I really love Darth Maul. They turned this guy into what was essentially a cool enforcer into this really deep Shakespearean villain. There's a tragedy to Darth Maul. We see his insanity. We see how great a villain he is. We see Darth Maul is definitely worthy of being the Emperor's apprentice. However, he was casted aside when he was presumed dead, which makes Darth Maul's rise to villainy once more all the more epic and compelling. I think Darth Maul is also pretty badass. The double-bladed lightsaber really stuck out amongst the Star Wars fans. It looked cool. Darth Maul is a savage fighter too. He actually gets a high kill count in this series. He's the one who kills the Death Watch guy in a one-on-one duel. Sam Witwer also voiced both Starkiller and Palpatine in The Force Awakens. Yeah, I know he took over as Palpatine. He played him in the cartoons, too. So yeah, both Palpatines face off. Pretty cool to see Sam Witwer and the original Emperor fight. And yeah, you can really hear his Starkiller voice in there, which made it a lot more fun. Darth Maul didn't talk much in The Phantom Menace, so they pretty much used Sam Witwer for all he's worth. He is definitely the iconic Darth Maul actor now. But yeah, love his design, love his skills, love his badass story. Darth Maul, total S tier badass. He's going up high. Alright, so who do we want to cross off next? Well, I've been looking forward to talking about this one, so Bodhi, I hope you're still here. Let's talk about Master Luminara, who is going on to F. Screw this bitch. Luminara is awful. You know why? Because her apprentice turns to the dark side, and she dodges all responsibility for it. I had a toy of the double saber as a kid. Yeah, that saber was awesome. Darth Maul, first ever appearance. Evil Threat Maul, post episode 1. William Afton, don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that was his name, okay. He had literally 2 lines in The Phantom Menace. I counted once. Yeah, that's all he had. Like Wolf doesn't do your live stream, like doesn't talk in your live stream. Wolf didn't want to do this one, okay? That's more so Filoni's fault than Luminara's. Yeah, well, unfortunately, we're judging the characters. So, Bodhi, I hope you're watching this because your favorite green girl, she sucks. Luminara is awful. She was also another character who was cool on the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. She and Barriss showed you how lightsabers were made, and they fight these invisible spider droids. That was awesome. Cree Summer really knocked it out of the park doing her monologues. However, then Filoni ruined this character. Filoni made Luminara one of the worst Jedi ever. So basically, Queen of Melromac. Yeah. So Olivia Dabo plays Luminara, and you can recognize her Star Sapphire voice. She voices Luminara, basically this uptight warrior nun. She's very strict, emotionless, and super judgmental of Anakin and Ahsoka. She's at first tasked with Ahsoka taking Newt Gunray to prison. However, Luminara treats Ahsoka like a child, does not believe in her ways, her methods, and thinks she can actually take on Asajj Ventress solo, because Ventress is just a newbie apprentice, but quickly very proven wrong. She barely survives, and Ahsoka shows up, and Luminara eats her humble pie and admits Ahsoka was right, she could use the help. Then she got a whole lot worse. I really hate, looking back at this, Luminara was terrible. Basically, she's very judgmental of Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship, constantly criticizing Ahsoka and constantly telling Anakin that he has to be a better Jedi Master, claiming that her relationship with Barriss is a lot better, but spoiler alert, Barriss turns to the dark side, and it is all Luminara's fault. She is a shitty teacher, a total hypocrite. She does not care about people at all, despite being a warrior for peace and love, and basically washes her hands completely of Barriss turning to the dark side. Completely under her nose and leadership, Barriss fell from grace. Barriss turns to the dark side. Barriss gives up on the Jedi ways, and Luminara nowhere to be fucking seen. Who's Queen Luminara? My brother mentioned it. That's this chick down here in F. So basically Queen of... Alright, read that one. If they ever want to bring back Dooku in a prequel show, they already did, Tales from the Jedi, and how Grievous came to be, they can do what Ghostbusters Afterlife did with Egon, and do body double deepfake and do voice of Corey Burton. I think that would be more disrespectful. Also, in your Ghostbuster cartoon reviews continue, I think I might be pulling the plug on doing Ghostbusters videos. Those have not gained very high views, and they've been up for like 2 to 3 years. I do not think anyone's interested. Yeah, I might just cut it or write it off as like a top 10 episodes. I wanted to talk about Extreme Ghostbusters, but not enough people are interested. Kind of like what they did with Maul and Solo Ray Park and voice Sam Witwer. Yeah, I get what you're saying. She sounds like Captain Atom or Guy Gardner pre-Batman Punch girl version. Yeah. Basically, Luminara dodges all responsibility and all blame that her apprentice turned to the dark side after all her smug arrogance telling how Anakin should be like her, how her apprentice should have the same mentor, have like the same bond that she and Barriss have. Barriss was turning evil this entire time under her fat nose. She didn't notice, and she never once addresses that Barriss is now evil. We never see Luminara react in shock, or confront Barriss, or realize the error of her ways. Luminara pretty much lets go of Barriss and moves on with her life, and takes no responsibility for Barriss becoming an evil bitch at all. I am excited with that. Okay. Like Ghostbusters went to Paris and Save It, then Ladybug and Cat Noir. Sounds like Kathleen Kennedy, favorite type of female character. Yeah, definitely feels like it. Oh, she's also a bitch to the Martez sisters. I remember the Martez sisters mention this Jedi who sounds a lot like Luminara. I think it actually was her, but yeah, they mentioned this pretty green, elegant lady with robes, and I can only assume it's Luminara. Luminara came to the Martez sisters after they lost their parents in a tragic war accident, and basically said, "Don't worry, the Force will be with you." And then she walked away, abandoning these two orphan girls. Yeah, really cold-hearted bitch. All that is missing is the British accent. She does have a British accent in the Filoni Clone Wars. Olivia Dabo has her British accent for Luminara. And yeah, basically, Luminara doesn't even address Barriss turned evil, doesn't confront her. There is no story where Luminara and Barriss confront each other after she turned to the dark side, and basically caused a suicide bombing at the Jedi Temple, and she turned it into a Sith Lord. She stole Asajj Ventress's lightsabers, framed her best friend Ahsoka, and basically acted like she was a hero for doing it and that the Jedi are evil. Barriss returns in Tales from the Empire, and unfortunately they still don't address Luminara abandoning her. Yeah, Barriss was the one who framed Ahsoka, right? I got into Clone Wars kinda late. Yeah, that was pretty much what happened in the final Fugitive story arc. Luminara doesn't even come back, and basically we find out she died off screen. She died in prison, and her corpse is used by the Inquisitor to somehow manipulate Jedi into falling to his trap. Luminara basically got sent to prison, completely backstabbed by Barriss because I think she deserved it at this point. Basically, Luminara went to Empire prison for being a Jedi instead of, executed, and Luminara basically died alone, miserable, and in despair in prison. And that is the end of Luminara's story. I do love your Ghostbusters reviews. It doesn't matter what the people doesn't watch it, mostly because it matters what you do. Well, not really interested in talking about Ghostbusters anymore. I liked Extreme Ghostbusters a lot more. The original show is fine, but I don't feel inclined to review it anymore. I think they gave Anakin Luminara's scenes with Barriss off free. Yeah, they definitely did. Basically, Luminara died in prison, and her corpse is used by the Inquisitor for a trap. It almost kills Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, and that's the last we ever see of Luminara. She sucks. I'm putting her on F. I do not get what fans see in her. She failed as a master, she failed as a warrior, and honestly, she was better off dead in the original Revenge of the Sith. Speaking of which, we should also put Barriss on here. Barriss going on to D. Barriss used to be one of the greatest heroes and one of the greatest Padawans. Barriss had this cute girl friendship with Ahsoka Tano. They were best friends. They were both Padawans learning the Jedi way. She and Ahsoka destroy a droid factory together. They become besties. And then Barriss turned into a bitch in the final season where she backstabbed her best friend. When is Count Dooku next? We'll get to him after Barriss. Kylie, I mean. Okay, Kylie, yeah, she was awesome. Kylie was hot. Yeah, Extreme Ghostbusters. Kylie was the best character. I like that show a lot more, but yeah, anyway. Barriss, basically she turned to the dark side. She's once one of the noble heroes, and they do give you an understanding. She has lost faith in the Jedi. She believes the Jedi have become hypocrites, and everything they stand for, the Jedi have turned their backs on. They're the real villains, and she becomes an extremist Islamist protester. She causes suicide bombings at the Jedi Temple, and she kills Kari Walgren and frames Ahsoka for it. Barriss is hard to bear us. Yeah. Sorry, Bodhi, if you're watching, but Barriss is awful. She is pretty much a complete hypocrite. She calls the Jedi evil, but is pretty much murdering people and manipulating events and throwing her best friend who trusted her under the bus, all just to prove her point. Barriss turns to the dark side, and she's actually the true mastermind in the Fugitive arc, and Ahsoka completely heartbroken and betrayed by her. Anakin has a fight with her, and Barriss almost wins, but that's because she has Asajj Ventress's lightsabers. Barriss gets arrested, and she comes back in Tales from the Empire, I believe, where we see her become an Inquisitor because Luminara is such a bad master that Barriss fell even further. She's not going to be winning any Friend of the Year awards anytime soon. No, she is not. Only made cameos in Attack of the Clones and even the 2003 Clone Wars. Yeah. That was her. Agreed. Ahsoka's, Barriss is a terrible best friend, and pretty much her turning to the dark side, she loses all sympathetic points. Her betrayal is not sympathetic, and Tales from the Empire tried to retcon it as sympathetic, but no, she's a bitch. She's gone on D. I only like her better because her villain turn was actually surprise, so she wins 1 point above Luminara, but Barriss is a dud. Alright, you want Count Dooku? Count Dooku, going on to B. So, Count Dooku is the replacement for Darth Maul. After Maul died, Palpatine convinced Count Dooku, who was once a great Jedi warrior off screen, to abandon the Jedi way and turn to the dark side. Count Dooku is disillusioned with the Jedi. We don't actually see this story unless you watch Tales from the Jedi. Dooku is completely disillusioned by the Jedi. He goes on a sabbatical to find himself and reconnect with the Force, only to become a Sith Lord and show up as the evil Christopher Lee by the time of Attack of the Clones. R.I.P. Christopher Lee. Yeah, I love Christopher Lee. Like an evil version of Talia from Mass Effect, Tales of the Empire. Okay, Bodhi, you did show up. Yeah, Luminara's on F where she belongs, Bodhi. I do like Barris's arc in Tales of the Empire. She becomes just like her old master in the best way possible. Okay, I've not seen Tales from the Empire. I knew Barris was in it, and some character from a video game, I don't remember, but yeah, Barris got explored more. Sorry, Bodhi, Barris is a backstabbing bad best friend. Count Dooku's okay on Clone Wars, but don't have the spotlight. Yeah, that's kind of my problem. Count Dooku is not in the center of the stage long enough. He's important in Attack of the Clones, and unfortunately killed off in the first 15 minutes of Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, Christopher Lee is a badass. He chews the scenery, he looks cool, he's slick. He gets a cool fight scene with Yoda in that CGI moment. And unfortunately, Dooku is just kind of in the shadows for most of it. He's the mastermind, he's sitting in his throne, sitting on the castle, orchestrating everything, but he doesn't get to do much. That's the problem. Count Dooku is not a heavily involved villain. He's a figurehead for Palpatine. He's supposed to be Palpatine's enforcer, and Dooku is leading the Separatists, but not doing it, not being very active. Saruman. Also, they totally ignored the consequences of her betrayal to her best friend in Tales of the Empire. She should have stayed evil or actually acknowledged she was a horrible friend and have a true redemption. Yeah, but that didn't happen because Dave Filoni is a terrible hack. Barris finds her way back to light, understanding that she was wrong about the Jedi, but doesn't regret her path. Spoiler alert though, she does die at the end. Good, she deserves it. People want Saruman versus Count Dooku in death battle. Saruman would win. Love Corey Burton too in both the Clone Wars shows. Yeah, Corey Burton played Count Dooku in the cartoons. Christopher Lee played him in the movies and in the Clone Wars movie in first season. I understand your hate for Luminara, but no, that's my mother. She's a bad mom who will abandon you, Bodhi, and not take any responsibility for you. Apparently this one Jedi Master had, like, deleted death scenes in episode 3. Yeah, that's Shock T. I think that's who you're talking about. Like I see Mayora is the Count Dooku of Miraculous. Yeah. So, Christopher Lee is awesome. He owns the scenes. He's pretty cool. Dooku, I would consider more of a mustache-twirling villain than Grievous ever was, because he's arrogant, he's a know-it-all. He believes Anakin is beneath him, which makes his death at the hands of Anakin all the more satisfying, because Anakin got better, his powers doubled, and eventually he finally beats Count Dooku in Revenge of the Sith, where he beheads him, and it is totally well-deserved. Count Dooku was a piece of crap anyway. And in the Clone Wars, they sadly don't explore him. That's my big problem. Count Dooku is not interesting as a villain. He's not well explored. Despite Christopher Lee and Corey Burton owning the role, he doesn't do much. That's kind of the thing. He's a very basic villain, and ultimately Palpatine and Darth Maul are much more interesting than him. But yeah, R.I.P. Christopher Lee. Yeah, Dooku is definitely a case of being overshadowed by better bad guys. Grievous, Darth Maul, Palpatine, even Asajj Ventress, all more interesting than he was. I like Christopher Lee, but unfortunately, it's a lack of screen time. That's what holds him back. So I'm putting him on B because he is a basic villain. Side note, apparently Saruman looks more intimidating in the books compared to the movies. I have heard that. Like how Count Dooku become evil. It's explained in Tales from the Jedi. He grew disillusioned with the Jedi, kind of like Barris. He thought they were a force for good, but he realizes the Jedi are causing more pain and destruction across the galaxy, so he turns against them and kills Yaddle, who I don't care about, so yeah, that was his origin. If Qui-Gon Jinn survived, he probably would have never turned to the dark side. Yeah, I agree. Qui-Gon Jinn would have never joined you. Love Grievous in The Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars 2003 version. I mean, it was nice to have Matthew Wood come back to voice the character, but they tone him down not to overshadow Vader. Okay. Yeah, Count Dooku, he is a basic bitch character. While I have Bodhi here, I'll talk about my Star Wars crush, my Star Wars waifu, Aayla Secura, and yep, Bodhi, Aayla, going on to S. We'll put her under Darth Maul, because I agree Maul was a better character. Aayla Secura, she's awesome, she's hot, she's kick-ass, she's fun, she's got a noble, graceful Lady of War demeanor. Jennifer Hale does a really sexy voice as her, has this French accent. Blue skin, has a nice body, really kick-ass acrobatic skills. I love Aayla Secura, and yes, her episodes made me a huge fan of her. I thought Ahsoka is your waifu. Ahsoka used to be, but now that I'm older, I like Aayla Secura a lot more. Aayla Secura is now my Star Wars waifu. She dethroned Ahsoka because, one, she's hotter, and two, she's a lot more badass. Aayla Secura does get character. Basically, she's a hot character in the background in the prequel movies, but in the Clone Wars shows, she got a lot more screen time. She got her ass kicked by General Grievous in Gendy's show, shows up again fighting by Anakin's side in the front lines of the war. Then, in Filoni's Clone Wars, she actually becomes a character. And Obi-Wan would have been able to go back to Satine much later. Unfortunately, Satine's dead. Agree, Kat, but can't we all agree that all Star Wars females are waifus? Not Asajj Ventress. She is not one of them in my book. Also, nobody likes Sice Noodles. Yeah, Star Wars has a lot of hot chicks. A lot of people, my friend Bodhi prefers Darth Talon. Understandable, because Darth Talon is a beautiful femme fatale, but Aayla Secura is my good girl crush. Ahsoka is my personal waifu. See, Akira, there you go. Christopher claimed her first. Like we need blue skin girl waifu tier list. Yeah, Mystique would be on there, Celeste would be on there, Aayla Secura, and Dr. Tassoni. I was about to go for a walk, but I wanted to see where you were at. Aayla isn't near my favorite, but she does have a good character growth. Also, you're gonna have to fight Bly for her. I'll beat that clone to death. He shot Aayla in the back. She deserved better. Yeah, Aayla Secura, I love her, and yes, she does get character. We do see in the Clone Wars, she's basically kind of a stern but caring teacher. She tells Ahsoka that she has to accept some harsh realities and harsh lessons, that Ahsoka has to think about the needs of the many and not the needs of the few. She has to look beyond Anakin's pain and look at the big picture. She has to help a whole bunch of other people, a tribe that leaving Anakin's side is good because she needs to be independent and she needs to do more to save him. Basically, giving her some harsh lessons, but Aayla is actually compassionate. She actually relates with Ahsoka, and a million times better than Luminara at teaching her lessons. She helps Ahsoka basically gain independence. Help Ahsoka look at the big picture, shows her that the Jedi can form attachments. Aayla talks about how she was just like her. She was very close to her master, Quinlan Vos, who I believe is down here. She was afraid of letting him go, but eventually she had to, and she convinces Ahsoka that she has to kind of do the same, basically. And Lala, yeah, we can't forget her. Who? We're on Aayla Secura, the hot blue Jedi girl. Say what you want about Padme, but Natalie Portman is pretty. Yeah, I do agree. Natalie Portman is very pretty. I liked her more on V for Vendetta, though. At least Bly made her death quick. He still cared for her despite being controlled by a microchip. Yeah, mercy killing her, but still stabbing her in the back, Bodhi. Apparently her species all have natural French accents. Yeah, the Twi'leks all have French accents, and that is kind of funny, but I think it was George Lucas's way of making them sexy. So, Aayla Secura is stranded on a planet where she and Ahsoka work together, and I really love Aayla. She definitely overshadowed Ahsoka Tano as my Star Wars waifu, because one, she's a lot hotter, two, she's a lot more mature than Ahsoka is. And 3, she is a Jedi Master, so yeah, she really kicks ass. I really like her fighting skills. Jennifer Hale really nailed this role. Jennifer Hale always plays hot characters, and Ayla is no exception. Ayla's a lot more level-headed than Ahsoka, and really liked how she got along with Anakin very well. Unlike Luminara and the black girl Jedi down here, Ayla was a lot more friendly to Anakin and Ahsoka. I agree, John Smith. The French, yeah. Ayla Secura, she is hot. I really like her. She's very supernatural. Apparently, a planet of Ewoks mistook her as a forest spirit because she was that beautiful and graceful in combat. Really cool Jedi girl. They help save this village of Zaboomafoo-looking Bleemer people. She helps them realize that there's more to this war than just them, that they have to eventually pick a side. Ayla Secura really respects them, and actually respects Anakin and Ahsoka a lot more, which is why I thought she was a lot more likable. They would have ruined Ayla if they made her a bitch, but no, she actually does have a soul deep down, and she comes back in a later episode helping Yoda fight the Zillo Beast, the weird Jurassic Park parody episode, and yeah, pretty brave of her fighting a giant kaiju. But yeah, Ayla Secura, she's my Star Wars waifu, and I'm putting her on S tier for sure, and I don't think anyone will disagree with me. And in Legends material, we have several Twilight characters that have American accents, not all are French. Yeah, that is kind of funny. The Lurmen, okay, that was their name. They look like Zabu from Zaboomafoo. Natalie Portman was my first live-action crush because of her role as Padme. Oh, that's nice, Bodhi. My first live-action crush was Rebecca Romijn's Mystique. They were originally supposed to be in Revenge of the Sith, the Lurmen. They might be on the Galactic Council. We see a whole bunch of aliens, but yeah. So, rumor has it that Ayla and Shaak Ti have both come back to life. I call BS on that because Ayla was shot a million times over and over, and Shaak Ti was murdered more times than Master Shake and Kenny. Agreed, Akira. R.I.P. Zaboomafoo's lemur actor. Yeah, he was great. Anyways, Ayla, she is out of this world. I'm putting her on S tier. Yes, I am biased, but yeah, what can I say? I like myself some pretty blue girls. Okay, so, Bodhi, if you're still watching, we'll also talk about your girl, Shaak Ti. Alright, she barely makes it, but we'll put her on S tier. Why? Because Shaak Ti is awesome on the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars. This is the other Togruta Jedi girl, Shaak Ti. She's a much older Jedi Master, but very beautiful, and even in her old age, she still has a hot bod. Shaak Ti, I believe, because she's literally impossible to kill in every continuity. Mine was Emma Watson. Yeah, too bad she's gotten crazy in real life. Same here, John Smith. Got a lot of Hermione fans, huh? Her real accent is French. She chose to speak in an American accent. Susan Eisenberg, Shaak Ti all the way. Yeah, Susan Eisenberg, way better than Tasia Valenza. Okay, so Filoni does not do her justice at all. Basically, Shaak Ti's a coach on the clone facility. Shaak Ti is the Jedi stationed at the clone facility that's training new cadets into becoming troopers, and she's just kind of a wise mentor there sitting on the sidelines. It is a complete spit in the face to how awesome Shaak Ti is, that she's kind of grounded at this outpost doing nothing. But Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, and especially The Force Unleashed, made Shaak Ti awesome. She is hot, she is kick-ass, she is a wise sage. Absolutely love this character on Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. I was surprised that they actually made me care for her. Shaak Ti was General Grievous's original archenemy. She fights him in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, gets her ass kicked by him, but then when round 2 comes, she puts up a lot more of a valiant fight. Loved Grey Dalil as Shaak Ti. Yeah, she looked a lot more cute and adorable in the 2D Clone Wars, and Susan Eisenberg looked amazing in The Force Unleashed. They really made Shaak Ti hot. They actually tried to make her hotter than Ayla Secura, and depending on who you ask, there is still a fan debate over who's hotter. Like Shaak Ti looks like Ahsoka's mom or grandma. Believe it or not, Akira, underneath these robes, Shaak Ti has like a supermodel body. Like, look up images of her on The Force Unleashed, and she looks as hot as Ayla Secura. Yeah, she dies a lot. Like, I get Wild Kratts is just the Kratts brothers with common rider suits that transform them into animals. Is that what that is? Okay. A coach and a mother. Tasia Shakti is incredibly sweet and caring towards the clones she teaches. Almost goes against the forbidden attachment rule for fives. Yeah, almost, but not quite. Okay, so Tasia Falenza, she is a good voice actress. Loved her as Poison Ivy. Unfortunately, she is completely wasted on Filoni's Clone Wars. She doesn't really give Shakti much persona. She's kind of the caring mother figure, but no snappy lines, no iconic scenes, not as great as Jennifer Hale's Ayla Secura. Gray DeLisle and Susan Eisenberg, way better as Shakti. Shakti tries to save Chancellor Palpatine from Grievous's abduction, and we get a lot of cool fight scenes of her. We got that cool fight in the subway station, got her fighting Grievous underground, jumping skyscrapers. Shakti kills a whole bunch of Magna Guards, which is so badass. Unfortunately, she gets beaten and killed by Grievous. I say killed very loosely, but yeah, she fails and Palpatine's captured, and if you don't know, Shakti gets killed off a lot in this franchise. They do not have a canon death for Shakti. She dies more times than Master Shake, Kenny, Eustace Bag, and Waspinator combined. It is kind of a joke and a meme at this point how many times Shakti dies. Like if Christina V was in Star Wars, who will she voice? Christina V could be a cool Ayla Secura, but I could also see her as Ahsoka or Barriss. Hey, Jon Snow, you made it. We're talking about the hot alien girls. Deleted scene since she was kidnapped and killed in Revenge of the Sith. I don't like the Spanish accent Tasia gives her version of Shock either. Doesn't make sense. Susan had the best, hottest voice for her. That's because Susan is just Wonder Woman, Bodhi. So, pre-Tales of the Jedi, there was a theory of her being Ahsoka's mom. Yeah, that was kind of a theory, but don't buy it because Ahsoka and Shakti don't look alike, and who's the father, basically? Shakti had to have slept with somebody, or, gotten impregnated by the Force, but that doesn't happen. Some say that they're related, but that's only because they're the same species. Shakti has red skin, while Ahsoka has orange. That is the key difference between them. So, she's either killed by Grievous at the end of Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, killed by Grievous in a deleted scene for Revenge of the Sith, killed by Anakin, Darth Vader, in a deleted scene of Revenge of the Sith, or killed by the clones on the Camino facility in The Bad Batch, or killed by Starkiller on The Force Unleashed. Yeah, Shakti has died multiple times, and they have been very loose with which is her canon death. I think Filoni's trying to make the Bad Batch her canon death, but Shakti being anticlimatically executed off-screen is too lame. Yeah, but in Tales of the Jedi, we got to see Ahsoka's mom. Yeah, she was there, so yeah, it's not her. So, Shakti's actually pretty hot. She looks beautiful in The Force Unleashed. She's kind of this magical nature warrior, and she has her own apprentice, Maris Brood. She fights Starkiller, but Starkiller defeats her, and then she throws herself to the Sarlacc pit because she'd rather die than be forced as a slave under the Empire. Like My Hero Academia made a Star Wars reference, Shigami as Darth Vader. Okay. Anyways, I think Shakti is pretty cool. I'm putting her on S tier, and Bodhi, you are right. Susan Eisenberg is the best voice actress. You can thank The Force Unleashed for making her hot, but I thank the 2D Clone Wars for making her badass. Shakti makes it to S tier. She is so cool. Another personal waifu of Maris Brood. Yeah, Maris Brood's pretty hot. Sadly, Maris isn't on here because that is post the Empire. But yeah, don't worry, Bodhi. Both our girls made it onto S tier because they are the bee's knees. Alright. So, let's get Coleman. What you talking about? Coleman, this guy, going on to F tier. If you don't know, this guy has one scene. He's shot dead by Jango Fett. This is the Jedi who jumps Count Dooku only to get shot off and fall to his death thanks to Jango Fett. Yeah, I kid you not, that is his only scene, and he dies. He's going on F tier for sure. Oh, speaking of which, we'll also put This girl, Adi from the Clone Wars. I'm trying to remember. There's like two black girl Jedi. They have like the same hairstyle. So that kind of fools me. Adi will also put onto D tier. She at least had a few badass scenes. This is the sassy black woman Jedi who helps Anakin save Eth Koth from General Grievous. Grievous abducts one of the Jedi generals, and she teams up with Skywalker and Kenobi. She's the sassy black woman, has some badass lines, has some badass fight scenes, and then she gets punk killed by Savage Opress. I'll give Tasia's version credit, though. She is very pretty in the show. Her blue eyes are mesmerizing. But Susan's beyond hot no matter what. Yeah, it helped Bodhi because Shakti also took off half her clothes and now dresses more scantily clad than Ayla does. But yeah, that definitely helped. Yeah, this black girl, basically she gets punk killed by Savage Opress. He doesn't even use a lightsaber. He punctures her with his horns. That is how she dies. Speaking of which, we'll also put this girl... Cias Alva, can't read that. Yeah, we'll put her on D. All I remember is she shows up in the Geonosis fight, and then she's the one that gets shot on the speeder bike by Order 66. Yeah, if you can't tell, this is the girl who was riding the speeder bike before Order 66 was ordered, and the clones basically go behind her and shoot her off her speeder. That was her only scene that you remember. Alright, let's dump Ki-Adi-Mundi. Ki-Adi also going on B. He was a lot better in the Clone Wars. Basically, you remember this guy because he has a distinct design, and apparently Ki-Adi-Mundi was there in the Acolyte despite breaking continuity. Ki-Adi-Mundi, pretty much a cool, badass old guy Jedi. I loved him on Clone Wars. They gave him a lot more personality. He was actually close friends with Obi-Wan, and he forms an odd friendship with Anakin and Ahsoka. He actually won the bet over who could kill the most battle droids, and he won Anakin's everlasting respect, which is the best gift of all. Ki-Adi-Mundi is a sociopath, by the way. Yeah, he kind of is. I like that they imply this guy has some shady things going on. He also cared about the Wookiees and Kashyyyk. I thought they were the same person. Yeah, I thought so too, but no, apparently they're not. Apparently they retconned that because this black girl gets killed by Savage Opress, but this girl was there in Revenge of the Sith and she's the one shot off the speeder bike. I guess it was Filoni trying to correct an error or something. Anyways, if you don't know, Ki-Adi-Mundi helped fight on Geonosis twice, and he's one of the first killed by Order 66. Get that sad moment where he's shot dead in the snow, and that scene was actually pretty cool, so he does win some points. We'll put him on B. But you want to talk about a good Jedi? Let's do Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto going on to A, and yes, he'll go above Darth Vader. Love Kit Fisto on the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. He's the one that has the underwater fight twice. He fights underwater, fighting the evil battle droids that can deep dive, and really badass in Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, and Phil Lamar plays him in Filoni's Clone Wars and does a really good job. It helps that he's basically using his Samurai Jack voice. Yeah, Phil Lamar plays Kit Fisto. I believe he plays Kit Fisto in both Clone Wars cartoons, and basically it's his Samurai Jack voice. Kit Fisto, I really liked. He had a distinct design that you remember in the prequel movies, and really badass in the cartoons. He's a kick-ass Jedi, fights underwater, survives General Grievous multiple times, and I'm sure a lot of ladies love him. Kit Fisto is the male equivalent to Aayla Secura and Shakti. Basically a hot alien guy for girls to love, which I can respect. I can respect that, yeah. Basically he's buff, he's really jacked under these robes, gets a lot of water scenes, so if you girls like men who swim and get wet, you'll really enjoy that. I'm intrigued where you're going to put Rom, Coda, and Yoda, but I'm going for a walk for a while. I already know where you're going to put my bald goddess, so I'll leave now before I cry. Bye, Bodhi. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Asajj. Nice of them redoing the underwater in the Dave Filoni Clone Wars with the war on Mon Cala. Yeah, that was it. Mon Calamari are invaded. Kit Fisto fights underwater in both of the Clone Wars and really kick-ass. I really like him. Has that nice smile. Girls really dig him. Phil Lamar basically acts as Samurai Jack anyway, so that made him cool. And he actually stood at least more than 5 seconds against Chancellor Palpatine during the Emperor versus Windu fight, so he wins a lot more points over those two other idiots. So Kit Fisto, we'll put him on A. He is awesome. We should talk about his apprentice, Nadar Veb. Nadar going on to C. Yeah, we got our first C. Nadar is Kit Fisto's apprentice who recently became a Jedi Knight. He has one episode and then he dies. Basically, Nadar is Kit Fisto's former pupil, and his death is to motivate Kit Fisto. Basically, Nadar thinks they can take on General Grievous, but his arrogance leads to his downfall. Nadar basically kind of loses himself, becomes arrogant, believes that he can kill Grievous, and he eventually sacrifices himself to save his master, but Nadar was wrong because Grievous was too OP, and Grievous basically gets his spine back in this episode. I'll check out the rest of your list later. So far, pretty good. Bye, Bodhi. See you later. Or, hope you see this video later. Yeah, it was really nice seeing the underwater fight back. Okay, so, Nadar is played by Tom Kenny, who you all recognize as Uncle Howie. Oh, he's also that weirdo SpongeBob, who I'm sure you never heard of. Tom Kenny does a pretty good job. Basically, Nadar is a cocky kid. He gets overconfident, and unfortunately, his overconfidence leads to his downfall. It is that classic story. Nadar does survive very well, so I'll give him points, and it's very nice seeing that he actually cared about the clones. Unfortunately, his anger clouds his judgment. He is pretty much a cautionary tale. Don't get overconfident, don't think you know better, don't think that you're all that hot, because your enemy will use that against you. Grievous basically punk kills him, but I'll give him a C because he did some effort. Your overconfidence will be your downfall. Yep, he's that kind of story. I guess some girls like appendage hair things. I personally don't get it. Really, Bat Kid, you didn't find Kit Fisto hot? I know girls actually love Kit Fisto. He's like the male equivalent to Ayla Secura and Shakti up here. Personally, I thought girls would like Darth Maul because he's more shirtless and badass. But yeah, Kit Fisto I can respect. Anyways, Nadar going on to C. Almost good, but ended up being betrayed by his own ego. I don't remember this girl. She was kind of in the background of Attack of the Clones. All I know is this was the girl who threw lightsabers to Anakin and Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones. We'll put her on D because I just forgot her. Alright, speaking of sucking, let's put E. Koth also down here onto F. If you don't know, E. Koth is one of the wise Jedi Council sages, and all this guy does is get captured and hurt. Basically, in his only major episode in Clone Wars, he is captured and held hostage by General Grievous. General Grievous captures this Jedi general and tries to interrogate him for intel, where Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Anakin and the black girl here, they launch a rescue to save Eth Koth, and basically they succeed at rescuing him, and then they succeed at rescuing him, and his only other scene is he fights Palpatine and dies. He is quite literally a punk kill. This guy sucks. He's going on to F. Oh, this is Caleb's master. Okay, I did not know that. That you put on D. Okay, this is Caleb's master. You know, I'll bump her up to C then. I did not know this was his master. I know this is the live action actress for her character, but don't remember her on the Clone Wars show, and she just shows up in Bad Batch to die. Yeah, that's it. She threw lightsabers to Anakin and Obi-Wan, she raised Caleb, and then she died in the beginning of Bad Batch. That is still pretty weak. Speaking of which, let's also knock out Plo Koon. Plo Koon, I'm putting on to C tier. He is overrated. Plo Koon has a really cool design, and that's about it. He is pretty much Dave Filoni's favorite character, and he absorbs way too much screen time. Plo Koon, if you don't know, he's another wise Jedi Master on the Council. He's this weird badass insectoid looking man with a funny breathing mask. It helps him communicate with people. Plo Koon, basically this really cool pilot and a badass Jedi who is best friends with Ahsoka. He was basically her father figure for a long time, and Plo Koon shows up in a lot of Clone Wars episodes because Dave Filoni likes him. Star Wars equivalent of Gandalf. Oh, you like Plo Koon? Okay, I think Plo Koon is overrated. One, he doesn't really get much of a character arc, and he doesn't have a lot of memorable scenes, honestly. I thought this guy was really overrated. I did not get what people saw in Plo Koon. And two, James Arnold Taylor's voice really got irritating after a while. Yeah, Plo Koon, basically, if you don't know, he helps Ahsoka, helps Anakin. They destroy the Malevolence together. He's frequently among the cavalry that comes in to save the day at the last second. He's hanging out with Ahsoka or Anakin in side conversations half the time. And the only scene I remember him from the live-action movies is when he's shot down by Order 66. He's flying his starfighter pilot, taking out troops, and basically sniped by his Clone Wars, and he kamikazes a clone platoon to death in his final moments. Yeah, Plo Koon is overrated. I'm putting him on C tier. I do not get the love this guy gets. He's not hot, he's not funny, he's not kick-ass, and basically Filoni gave him so much screen time just because he thought he was cool as a kid. Alright, so speaking of which, I'm trying to read this guy's name. I recognize him from the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, the horn guy. Alright, we'll also put him on C. I loved him on Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. He leads an invasion on a separatist ship from jumping in space, and in the main Clone Wars show, he's kind of a glorified background character that Yoda exchanged exposition with. Was he turned into Dave Filoni's self-insert? Well, not a self-insert, but basically a forced fan favorite. Filoni gave Plo Koon a lot of screen time because he loved the character, and basically Plo Koon is constantly involved in the show. He's always there, even when he's not really that important to the plot. Basically, always in conversations, always in council scenes, always talking to Ahsoka when she's not fighting, basically. Filoni basically tried to shill this character, tried to force him to become a fan favorite, and that's kind of why I didn't like him, because nothing was really attaching me to him. Anyways, this horn guy, loved him in Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. In Filoni's Clone Wars, he's kind of just there. He's an extra exposition guy on the council. In Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, he has this really epic scene where they invade a separatist ship by jumping from a star destroyer across space, where they invade a separatist ship and hijack it, and that is one of his most badass scenes. But unfortunately, Filoni did not take advantage of him, and if you don't know, he's also punk killed by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. He's with Windu, Fisto, and Eth Koth, and he and Eth Koth are both unfortunately expendable idiots who get killed in the first 2 seconds. At least Kit Fisto lasted 5 to 10 seconds, but this guy didn't. So he's dropping down to C. Alright, I guess this guy also looks like Eth Koth. I think we'll put him on D. Another background Jedi character. He's there in the fight on Geonosis, and I guess died off screen during Order 66. Don't remember him, we're putting him in D. Don't recognize this guy, Coleman Kagak. Yeah, I guess we'll also put him on a D because I don't recognize his face. Looks like another council member. I believe this guy was like a weird slug-looking guy. He showed up in the Phantom Menace and didn't say anything because Yoda and Windu do all the talking. Speaking of which, I've been looking forward to this. Let's talk about Kanan. Kanan also going on to F. I hate Kanan Jarrus. I am not a fan of Star Wars Rebels. If you ask me what I've thought about Star Wars Rebels, I think it's overrated. I think it's boring. I think it's way too sanitized and child-friendly. Not as good as the original Clone Wars or even Tartakovsky's Clone Wars or Filoni's Clone Wars. But him, I do not like Caleb. I do not like Caleb, Kanan Jarrus, whatever you want to call him. Basically, James Vega of space. I know for the F section is the one Star Wars character who's still hated to this day, Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, I do not like him. Kit Fisto's face reminds me of an alien cat creature because of those eyes. I think they were trying to go for more of a fish because he looks aquatic. Killed Palpatine along with Kit Fisto, the same species of Eth Koth. Yeah. Oh, so that's the... I'll put him lower. He's got Punk killed too. Anyways, Caleb, Kanan, whatever you want to call him, I'm not a fan of him. For one, Freddie Prinze Jr. is not that great a voice actor. I did not like him on Mass Effect 3 as James Vega, and I could easily recognize his voice on Star Wars Rebels. Kind of like my cat when he's excited. Basically, Kanan is the main protagonist of Star Wars Rebels. He was here during the prequel era. He's one of the Jedi younglings. Freddie Prinze Jr. took over as the voice for him, and unfortunately, I did not like his few seconds in Bad Batch because Freddie Prinze Jr. was basically a 40-year-old man voicing a 12-year-old, and it really showed. He did not sound very young and convincing as Kid Kanan. Basically, Order 66 killed his master, this chick up here, and he goes on the run. The Bad Batch do not shoot him down even though they're ordered to, and he leaves to go on his stupid spin-off Star Wars Rebels. And I'm not a fan of Star Wars Rebels. I do not like him. First off, I find Kanan very boring. I do not like Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice acting. He is doing the exact same voice he did as James Vega, and he's not a really fun character. He's always dead serious, always a cynic, a downer. Who's James Vega? He's a squad mate from Mass Effect 3. Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. played Kanan and James Vega, and basically does not differentiate the personalities or his voice all that well. He sounds the exact same, and James Vega is one of the worst squad mates on Mass Effect 3, so appropriately he's one of the most boring characters in Star Wars. Basically, Kanan is a kid coming from the prequel era, and he drops exposition for Ezra Bridger and the new viewers on where Star Wars' story is, basically telling you the important events, what happened, and reteaching the Jedi way to a whole new generation. And I do not like Kanan. He's boring, he's bland, he's not fun. Freddie Prinze Jr.'s acting is not very good. He wasn't good as James Vega, but yeah, he wasn't good as Kanan. Kanan is overrated, he's going on to F. Alright, I gotta use the restroom, but you guys cast your vote on who you want to see next. Made it to the final string, so let's go. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Who'd you guys vote for? Let's see, you got Mace Windu and Asajj Ventress. Alright, let's talk about Mace Windu. Windu also going on to D. I do not like Mace Windu for one big reason. He's a total jerk. Mace Windu is an ass. He's a hard ass. He's emotionless. Very critical of Anakin and Ahsoka. Not a very pleasant guy to be around. Samuel L. Jackson does a pretty good job playing Mace Windu. I know a lot of people love him. Personally, I loved him on the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. That Mace Windu was a badass. He loses his lightsaber in a fight, and he's basically using the Force and punching to kill an armada of battle droids. That is awesome. Yeah, 2003 Mace Windu. That one was good. You want Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon next? Okay. And Quinlan Voss. Okay, so basically, I do not like how Filoni did Mace Windu, and I do not like how Revenge of the Sith essentially turned him into an asshole. Mace Windu is a dick. That's why I don't like him. He's a dick to Anakin, judgmental of him. He does not grant him a place on, like, he doesn't not grant him the rank of master. He grants him, like, a place on the council, but he won't be a master, and basically kind of disrespectful towards Anakin. He is the harsh teacher. He is the stern one. He's the bad guy among the Jedi doing the harsh tasks, basically. Why does one look like if Yoda was a fantasy troll? Yeah, that's Yvonne Peele. We'll get to him eventually. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is cool, like, so interesting. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson is great, and loved him on Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. He is kick-ass in that. That actually made Windu cool. Unfortunately, everything after that absolutely ruined him. Basically, he's the douche among the Jedi. He is the one that causes Anakin to slowly lose faith, because Windu clearly does not treat him with respect. Windu sees Anakin as a child. Windu has been against recruiting Anakin in the Jedi from the very start. He did not believe Annie was the chosen one. He denied Qui-Gon's request to get him involved. He is very harsh as a teacher towards Anakin. He does not respect Skywalker at all, even during the Clone Wars. And unfortunately, I do think his death was very well deserved. So Frozone with Nick Fury's attitude and paranoia. Yeah, except Nick Fury was also badass. Hence why he has a purple lightsaber for being both dark and light side of the Force. Yeah, he's kind of a morally gray Jedi at best. The Tartakovsky tune actually made Windu badass, so he did win points for that. But then Filoni's show and Revenge of the Sith did not make me like Mace Windu. He's just too mean. I'm putting him on D because he's a dick. Alright, so who do we want to do next? Okay. Let's do Asajj Ventress. I'm sorry, my buddy Bodhi, but Ventress going on to B. I am also not a huge fan of Asajj Ventress. I liked Nika Futterman's performance, liked her in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. She is very scary in the Tartakovsky show. Unfortunately, Filoni's show, kind of all over the place. Asajj Ventress is Count Dooku's personal assassin and right-hand woman. Ventress was recruited by Count Dooku to essentially assassinate Anakin. And depending on which continuity you follow, her story kind of differs. Another personal waifu. Aw, you love Asajj Ventress. Okay, a lot of people tell me they love Asajj Ventress because she's supposed to be like the Star Wars Catwoman, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. No, the bald thing doesn't bother me. One, she looks like a melted candle woman, and she always looks very creepy. Asajj Ventress always scared me as a kitten. She looks crazy. Nika Futterman does like a witch voice for her. I'm sure Azula's voice actress did a voice for her in 2003. Yeah, Grey DeLisle played pretty much everyone in the early 2000s. I heard a fan theory that before Anakin, he thought he was the chosen one. Before Anakin. Oh, Windu thought he was the chosen one. Okay, that kind of makes sense, but still kind of a dick move. Like, people want to put Mace Windu fight Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart would win. Byakuya from Bleach. Never watched that. And Sho Ranpo in Death Battle. Okay. Anyways, Asajj Ventress, okay, she's kind of kick-ass. She's a spy, a super badass femme fatale, but she doesn't have the sexiness of a femme fatale. A lot of people really love Asajj Ventress because she's supposed to be hot and kick-ass, and yeah, she has a nice Catwoman body, and Nika Futterman uses her Catwoman voice, but I always found her kind of creepy. She looks like a melted candle woman and has that creepy witch laugh. Not really attracted to her. Aayla Secura and Shakti, even Ahsoka, more up my alley. But Ventress, as a character, she is basically the sneaky, treacherous kind of spy, going incognito, doing spy missions for Count Dooku, has a rivalry with Obi-Wan more than Anakin. She tried to assassinate Anakin and died being killed off a cliff, and honestly, she should have stayed dead. I call complete BS over how Ventress survived being kicked off a cliff by a pissed off Anakin Skywalker. In the Tartakovsky show, she died. That is the end of Asajj Ventress. She died. Yeah, she's supposed to die in the novel and brought her back in Bad Batch. Yeah, that's the thing. She was also supposed to die in Filoni's Clone Wars. Filoni brought Asajj Ventress back, gave her a lot of good episodes that gave her character development. Asajj Ventress used to be a Jedi, but then her master died. She was left alone. She turned to the dark side because Ventress is very enraged and vengeful. She is a pissed off woman, we'll put it that way. She joins Count Dooku and becomes his right-hand woman. She's eventually fired because Palpatine orders Dooku to get rid of her, because Palpatine is not an idiot and realizes Dooku and Ventress are going to try and usurp his rule. Because Dooku is totally pussy-whipped by Palpatine, he's forced to try to kill Asajj Ventress, but Ventress survives, goes back to the Witches of the Mist, basically the Night Sisters. They're these super-powered Sith witch girls who become Ventress's new allies, try to help her assassinate Dooku, but Dooku is too OP for her, and they destroy her entire tribe, but her tribe is somehow working for Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ahsoka, because Filoni sucks at continuity. Asajj Ventress looks like a young version of the original Evil Queen's design, but bald. Ventress is not that hot, okay? Hey, I know we did this tier list already, but Cassandra Nova's bald and she's so hot, so... Personally, I think Jack from Mass Effect is a hot bald woman, much hotter than Asajj Ventress. Mass Effect's Jack, she was actually good looking. This Ventress looks more demonic, that's why I'm not attracted to her. Feels like Scrapped give you Goosebumps character from the TV show. Didn't know what you say. Bald! 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 My eyes! Okay, so bald women can be hot. Mass Effect's Jack really proved that to me, and technically speaking, Aayla Secura and Shakti and Ahsoka are all bald. They just have tentacles for hair, but yeah, bald women can be attractive. Ventress is just not one of them. She looks too monstrous, that's why. She's like an anti-Wonder Woman, like with the Night Sisters, kind of like the Amazon in Star Wars. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. She joins an all-women team, but because women aren't powerful, they lose to the evil battle droids, and Ventress becomes alone. She's left for dead, but then gets a new job as a bounty hunter. She teams up with Ahsoka and helps her clear her name. I assume Ahsoka gave her that pardon she promised, because Ventress shows up again later in Bad Batch. And yeah, I do not like Ventress with hair either. The hairstyle looks really weird. She has that weird Karen haircut where she has the side-shaved head and the bangs on one side. It does not look attractive at all. Ventress shows up in the Bad Batch and helps them, and I do not buy it, and I do not like that Filoni did not have the balls to kill her off. Basically, she's supposed to die in a comic called Dark Disciple. It is the canon end to Asajj Ventress, but because Filoni liked her so much, basically he retconned that, and now Ventress is alive, going on wacky misadventures, and doesn't die her death by Count Dooku, and it is stupid. It is stupid. Asajj Ventress does not deserve a spin-off. She's not an interesting character past Clone Wars. Her story ended. I did not like that Ventress came back, but I can respect people liking her because she was a badass female villain on the villain side. Faux hawk sideways mohawk, yeah. Yeah, okay. We're talking about Asajj Ventress, yeah. Ventress, I do like as a villain, and I wish she kind of stayed on the Separatist side because she was actually interesting there. She nearly killed Luminara, so she does win points for that, but Ventress, I'm putting her on B. She is a very basic villain to me, and I do not understand why fans claim her as a waifu, but you could go ahead and have her. Alright, let's do Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon going on to S tier. Yeah, forgive me, Ayla and Maul, but I love Qui-Gon Jinn. Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon, one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. Qui-Gon Jinn is technically the main hero of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon Jinn is basically a rogue cowboy Jedi. He plays by his own rules. He doesn't listen to the council all the time. He kind of does his own thing. This causes a lot of friction between him and Yoda and the council. Qui-Gon was Count Dooku's apprentice, and Qui-Gon Jinn is one of the most badass characters of the series. I really love Liam Neeson's performance, love Qui-Gon as a character. He is badass. He is everything the Jedi really should be. He's compassionate, he's heroic, he does the right thing, and he's willing to risk his life for a greater cause. Why is this hairline so popular? I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it either, Bat Kid. It is a dumb haircut. Same cat, nice to bring him back in the Obi-Wan series, only at the end of the series. Yeah, Liam should have been there from the start as a Force ghost, but no. Really love Qui-Gon. Yeah, he did appear in that trash Obi-Wan show as a cameo. He did appear in the Clone Wars too. Actually, they did get Liam Neeson back as him, which was so nice to see. Qui-Gon is basically the best Jedi ever. He's everything the Jedi should have been. Compassionate, caring, actually formed attachments. He actually treats Anakin with respect and acts like a father figure to him, rather than a stern teacher. Which is why when he dies, it's a lot more sad that he doesn't get along well with Obi-Wan, and his death pretty much affected both apprentices. Like Qui-Gon Jinn versus Minato in the strange Naruto versus Star Wars, whatever. Alright, so Qui-Gon Jinn, I really like him. He's a kick-ass hero, and his death actually made me sad. He's killed by Darth Maul. He's fighting him solo in that reactor area where he unfortunately gets killed, and his death is still a huge shock to me because basically he's kind of used as a decoy protagonist. He's built up as the hero only to die, and Obi-Wan kind of takes over in his stead. But Qui-Gon's death pretty much impacted the rest of the series, and I think he was pretty badass, all the fight scenes he got. Liam Neeson really rocked this role. And of course, Qui-Gon Jinn going into S tier because he is also the first Jedi to become one with the Force. Qui-Gon is technically the first Force ghost of the franchise, and that is a pretty badass accomplishment you cannot ignore. Fanscription did do a what if Qui-Gon trained Anakin instead of Obi-Wan episode. Okay. Alright, so Qui-Gon, he's going on to S tier for sure. Alright, got a lot of good guys next. Alright, let's do Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, prequel era Obi-Wan, I will be putting on to A. Yeah, he almost makes it to S tier because of Ewan McGregor, so we cannot count the original timeline Obi-Wan, the original trilogy. We are counting Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, who is the prequel era Kenobi. I really didn't like him all that much in The Phantom Menace, but Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, he got much better. Obi-Wan is Qui-Gon's student and Anakin's master. Basically, Qui-Gon died, and as a dying request, he vowed to take over as the master for Anakin Skywalker. However, Obi-Wan is clearly not even half the man Qui-Gon Jinn was, as he and Anakin are always fighting, they bicker, they do not get along. But Obi-Wan is a pretty badass hero, especially because his rivalry with Darth Maul comes back in full force in Clone Wars. Ah yes, the master of trolling. Yep, that is Obi-Wan. Nice to bring him back in the Mortis trilogy and the Tales of the Jedi. Yeah, Obi-Wan joins Anakin and Ahsoka being reincarnated as the father, son, and daughter Force ghosts. So, I do like Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, and did enjoy James Arnold Taylor's Obi-Wan in Clone Wars. He's actually pretty funny as Kenobi. Obi-Wan is basically that cool uncle. He's the fun guy, you like him. He's wise and caring, but also kind of a stickler for the rules. Obi-Wan makes it down low because he is the by-the-book cop, which made him a lot more boring than Anakin and Ahsoka, who are more free-spirited. So, Kenobi is pretty badass. He, of course, defeated Darth Vader here. He killed General Grievous. He fought Darth Maul. He survived the destruction of Mandalore. Just survived a ton of battles. Grievous is more so his archenemy than Count Dooku is. Yeah, I saw Obi-Wan versus Kakashi. Was that an okay death battle episode? Yeah, that one was pretty fun. I saw Obi-Wan and Kakashi fight the 1,000 Years of Pain on Obi-Wan. Yeah, Obi-Wan, of course, he's going on to A. He is awesome. He is cool, but I do think he falls a bit short compared to the S tier badasses up here. Obi-Wan is a true Master Jedi. Speaking of which, let's also put Quinlan Vos up here. Quinlan Vos, he is awesome. I'll put him under Grievous, at least, but he is still making an A tier. Quinlan Vos is the wild guy, the party dude Jedi. He is very fun. So, Vos gets a lot more character in expanded material. He does not get as much to do in the show. He has like 2 episodes in Filoni's Clone Wars, but in expanded material, he has like this whole larger-than-life persona. He is fun. He's like a badass shaman warrior. He's Michelangelo. He has actually a romance with Aayla Secura once, and yeah, he's pretty kick-ass. Nice to bring back James Arnold Taylor from the 2003 series to 2008 Clone Wars. Yeah, I really liked him in both those shows. He really rocked that McGregor accent. Like Stephen Kelly was a cool Obi-Wan Kenobi voice in Death Battle. Yeah, he did alright. So their dynamic should have been or was the buddy cop movie dynamic. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. Obi-Wan was the by-the-book cop. Anakin was the more reckless, impulsive, loose cannon cop. He even has a love interest with Ventress in the novel. Highly recommend checking it out. Yeah, Quinlan Vos actually did have romantic connections. He, like, dated Aayla Secura. Then he dated Asajj Ventress. Scored the 2 hottest babes. So he is definitely awesome. And I did like him in his 2 Clone Wars episodes. They fight Cad Bane. They recapture Zero the Hutt, or his corpse, basically. Yeah, Quinlan Vos... read him in expanded material. He is pretty awesome and kick-ass, but in the shows, he is kind of held back, which is why he's not making S tier. Yeah, he dated Ventress in the novel. Yeah, we'll put Quinlan Vos in A because he is awesome. Alright, let's take out this guy, Upo Itantis. Yeah, we'll put him on to D because I don't remember him. This guy is like a weird plant Jedi. I remember him from the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. He's like in the council. Basically, he's this weird plant-looking guy with vines for fingers. He like exchanges exposition with Yoda for one scene. Then he doesn't really appear in any media outside of expanded universe stuff. Yeah, we're putting him on D. Alright, I'm gonna go get some more water since I'm running out, but vote who you want to see next. The final 5, let's do this. BRB. Alright, cat's back. Got some water. Why do people keep shipping Ahsoka with Anakin? Barf. Well, technically they're not related, but they do kind of have more of a father-son dynamic. I think it's just because it's cute and people really wish they were Ahsoka's master. Ah, Savage Opress. Quinlan Vos cameos in The Phantom Menace. He did? Okay, I didn't see him there. Ewan McGregor is also the first Scottish actor. This was fun, but I gotta go. Bye, Jon Snow. Glad you showed up. Don't worry, we're on the final 5, so let's do this. Okay, you want Savage Opress. Alright, it pains me to do this, but Savage also going on to B. I'll put him above Ventress since he was a lot cooler. Savage Opress is basically Darth Maul's brother. He's taken in by Asajj Ventress and trained in the Sith Lord ways, taught to use a lightsaber. Basically, Savage Opress is used by Ventress. Ventress trains this guy to become her personal assassin and right-hand man. They have to double-team Count Dooku. However, Savage Opress infiltrates the Separatists by pretending to be Count Dooku's new apprentice, and Savage has to choose between Count Dooku and Asajj because Dooku shows him the true ways of a Sith master, shows him the Force, teaches him to be a great warrior. However, Savage Opress eventually strikes out on his own. He turns against Ventress and Dooku at the same time, finds out through Mother Talzin that he has a brother, this brother being Darth Maul, voiced by Mr. Krabs and Lex Luthor himself, Clancy Brown. Yeah, Clancy Brown plays Savage Opress because Clancy Brown is kind of the villain in every 2000s child show ever. Clancy Brown does pretty good. Then Savage Opress, pretty kick-ass. He's more so a savage monster, very feral, very bloodthirsty, but that's what made him very cool. Unfortunately, once Savage Opress finds his brother Darth Maul, he quickly got overshadowed by him. So, after Savage recruits and saves Darth Maul more or less becomes the real main character of their arc, and Savage is sidelined as a side character, and that's why he makes B. They pushed Opress far out of the spotlight. He's basically his bro's right-hand man. They have this student master friendship at first, but Darth Maul learns to care for him as a brother, actually cries when he gets killed by Palpatine. Savage Opress is basically his bro's enforcer. Like heard him in Starship Troopers. Yeah, he's Sergeant Zim. Yeah, very Frankenstein's monster-like. Basically, Savage is a weapon. He was built to be the ultimate Sith warrior and be obedient to every master he ever had. He's obedient to Ventress until he's not. He's obedient to Dooku until he's not. He's obedient to Mother Talzin until she passes him on to Darth Maul. And he's obedient to Darth Maul because they're brothers. Basically, Maul becomes kind of a replacement brother after their third bro got killed by Ventress. It's a very weird family tree like that, but yeah. Basically, Savage serves Darth Maul and is his badass enforcer. That's kind of it. It's why he's kind of held back. Once Darth Maul returns on screen, it becomes more about Maul than Savage, and unfortunately, Savage ends up killed by Palpatine because he wasn't strong enough, and the evil witch magic leaves his body instead of blood, and that is the anticlimactic end of Savage Opress. Basically, this guy could have been a great character, but he was kind of held back by a lot. His biggest weakness was a lack of screen time, but Clancy Brown really owned this role, and they did shape him up as a really cool villain, so we'll put him on B. Alright. So, let's knock off Ivan Peel. I actually kind of like this guy. I'm gonna put him on B too. We'll put him under Ventress, so don't worry, Bodhi, if you're watching this. This guy is the alternate design Yoda. He had a cameo in The Phantom Menace. Then he returns in the Clone Wars. Basically, this guy is captured and thrown into a separatist Alcatraz prison. This is the famous Citadel episode where Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan and their ragtag team of clones have to infiltrate the biggest, most powerful separatist prison ever because this guy has, like, intel they need. Ketchup and mustard, my favorite duo. Yep. So, Ivan Peel, basically, he's this cool old guy. He's trapped in prison, resisting the torture, resisting the creepy warden's insistence on giving him the intel. However, Ahsoka and Anakin basically save him. They have to escape the prison together. Unfortunately, Ivan Peel gets killed. He gets mauled by a guard dog, if you can believe it or not. So, that did kind of cost him a few badass points, but I really like this guy. He's kind of like an old Russian accent kind of guy. Kicks ass, has fun, is actually a very wise Jedi. He does treat Kenobi and Skywalker like equals. His second in command is Captain Tarkin. If that name doesn't sound familiar, he eventually becomes Grand Moff Tarkin. Ivan Peel and Tarkin are kind of co-workers until Ivan Peel dies and Tarkin turns against the Jedi, and basically his death kind of contributes to Tarkin's character arc. Like people want to put Dreadwing, Cooler, Dragon Ball, and Cabal for Savage Opress. Cabal could work. Dreadwing, I'm kind of skeptical about. Anyways, Ivan Peel, yeah, he'll go on B. He was pretty okay. Okay, trying to remember who this is. Rabin Jokas. I thought this was actually the gray Jedi from Ahsoka. Yeah, this guy, I'll put him on C. I just don't remember who he is. I don't know who this is, so I'm sorry. We'll put him on C, because I'm sure he's not bad, but don't remember him all that well. Alright, let's do Pong Krell, aka the first Dark Jedi in the Clone Wars. Pong Krell going up on A. This guy, voiced by Lee Everett from the Walking Dead game, if you can believe it or not. Pong Krell is a badass character. If you don't know, this is from the Darkness on Umbra arc, one of the best Star Wars story arcs ever, because it is primarily about the clones, and Captain Rex and Fives get a lot of character development. Basically, Captain Rex and the ARC troopers are ordered to work under Pong Krell. Anakin Skywalker has to leave, and the clones get into a very stressful relationship with Pong Krell because Pong doesn't care about clone lives. He does not see the clones as equals. He treats them as his obedient foot soldiers, and in a twist, we find out this guy is actually evil. Pong Krell is a twist villain. Ram Koda. Alright, so Pong Krell, really awesome twist villain. Out of complete shocking surprise, it turns out this guy was evil all along, and the reason he doesn't care about clones is because he's trying to allow the Separatists to win the war. He wants the clones to lose. He's giving them suicidal missions and suicidal orders and treating them all like they're expendable nothing because he sees them as just that. Pong Krell is actually a Sith Lord. He turned to the dark side, and he's been working incognito behind the scenes like Palpatine, hoping that the Separatists will win the war, and he's sabotaging the Republic from within. Krell is basically sabotaging the Separatists from the inside, or no, sabotaging the clones from the inside, so he can become Count Dooku's apprentice. He's an inside man working for Dooku, and it leads to the most badass moment, the clones fighting an evil Jedi. They fight evil Lee Everett here. He is very brutal as a fighter, and that's why he wins a lot of points. He has double-bladed blue and green lightsabers and forearms, and very savagely kills clones. He like breaks one's back Bane style. He's headbutting them, ripping arms off, slashing them to death. Really creepy. Same species as Dex from Attack of the Clones that Obi-Wan went to that restaurant. Yeah, Dexter Chexter. Yeah, that's his same species. And Lee Everett, Dave Fennoy's voice acting really knocks it out of the park. It is very hard to unhear Lee, but he's got a really good villain voice. I really like him. Basically, he's an ultimate villain for the clones to beat, and the clones actually successfully defeat their first Jedi. The clones capture Pong Krell and are forced to execute him because the Separatists are moving in on their turf and they're afraid he'll use it as a chance to escape or help Dooku. Yeah, in a harsh, morally gray, war-torn world, Pong Krell is executed, betrayed by the one clone who believed in him as he fulfills his character arc of realizing he shouldn't have been such a blindly loyal fool. So yeah, Pong Krell going on A because he is an awesome villain. Really liked how this guy was written, really loved Dave Fennoy's performance, and absolutely loved his badass warrior skills, so he's going up high. So let's end this all with the high note of all high notes, Yoda. Yep, Master Yoda, you survived. Yoda going on to S tier, and yet he is number one. Who doesn't love this Muppet? Yoda is awesome. Yoda is that wise sage, but also a total trickster mentor. Whether he's Tom Kane or Frank Oz, Yoda is awesome. He is an icon. He is one of the best Jedi of all time. I thought it was Kevin Michael Richardson. Yeah, some people thought that. No, it's Dave Fennoy. Lee Everett from the Walking Dead video game is Pong Krell. Yep, S tier Yoda is. Yep, Yoda, he's awesome. He's the funny backwards talking alien, a really adorable Muppet, and a key example of how appearances can be deceiving. Don't judge a book by its cover, because this cute little guy is a total badass. He fought the Emperor, he fought Count Dooku, he destroyed an entire droid armada with just him and 3 clone troopers. Yoda kicks ass. He can lift X-Wing fighters with his mind. That is how powerful this Jedi is. Yoda versus King Mickey in the MU that exists. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Size matters not. Yep, love Yoda. Really love Frank Oz. Tom Kane actually does a pretty good impression of Frank Oz. Not sure who's gonna voice Yoda now in future material because Tom Kane has tragically retired due to a voice health issue, and Frank Oz is not on good terms with Disney right about now, but Frank Oz and Tom Kane are both legends for making Yoda awesome. This guy destroyed an entire droid armada, just him and 3 clones. That is how badass he is. He fought Palpatine, and Yoda fights the ultimate final boss in the finale, himself. Evil Yoda, the dark side Yoda that sounds and acts like Gollum. Yeah, you remember that. Yeah, Yoda, he's one of the best characters of Star Wars ever. He is the eccentric mentor. He's actually caring and compassionate. I love that Yoda actually treats Anakin and Ahsoka with respect. The Jedi are more so his children rather than his co-workers, which is why he's a lot better than Mace Windu in my opinion. But yeah, Yoda, he kicks ass. I even like that goofy CGI fight he shares with Count Dooku. That is badass. Yoda survived all the way to the end, and even from beyond the grave as a Force ghost, he is still one of the greatest, smartest mentors of all time. Yoda is an iconic character, and it's why he is the #1 Jedi of this era. Yeah, but then he comes back as a Force Ghost in the sequel trilogy, where apparently he still has powers where he can use Force lightning to destroy stuff. I always kind of thought the Force Ghosts were kind of a guiding light, but no, he has powers from beyond the grave because Yoda is that badass. But yeah, Yoda's #1. So, as you can see, that pretty much completes our tier list. Yep, we ranked all the prequel-era Jedi, except for Cal because he's in a video game. Like people like to make Frog, Saratobi, Master Fu, and Iroh for Yoda opponents. Yeah, I really love that crazy old man, wise mentor energy that they all bring. Yoda was the one that started it all, so he gains a lot more respect. So yeah, that pretty much completes our tier list. We talked about all the Jedi, snap a picture, we have it all finally fitting on screen for once. So yeah, that completes all the prequel era from Phantom Menace to Revenge of the Sith Jedi. Except for Cal, but if you're curious, Cal would have been S tier, because he's also awesome. So we'll go over it one more time for any late birds here. Like King Mickey fought Yoda, that would be funny. F tier, Eth Koth, he is the worst because he gets captured and punk killed. Eth Koth, Agent Keslar, Coleman, Kanan Jarrus or Caleb, whatever you want to call him, and Master Illuminara, all failures. They are F. They are the worst Jedi ever. Most of them just get punk killed, or some of them are terrible characters like Master Illuminara, who abandoned her apprentice and daughter figure Barriss. I'm not afraid. You will be. You will be. Yeah. D tier, the duds. Coleman Kagak, the sassy black woman Jedi, either one. The plant guy, Barriss and Mace Windu, they are D. They're duds. Mace Windu and Barriss, mostly because they're terrible people. I know that's supposed to be their role, but did not like them. Barriss is a complete hypocrite. Sorry, Bodhi, but it's true. And Mace Windu was awesome in Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Unfortunately, in nothing else. He is a D tier with the rest of these guys. Then we have C tier, Weird Horn Guy, Plo Koon, Nadar, Caleb's Master, and this guy I don't recognize. C tier, they're kind of forgettable. Honestly, that's the only problem. They're kind of forgettable, don't get a lot of screen time, and have very small roles in a bigger story. Then B tier, the okay ones. We have Ki-Adi-Mundi, Ivan Peel, Asajj Ventress, Savage Opress, Count Dooku. I think they're alright. These are definitely passable characters. They did their job. I can see other people absolutely loving these guys, but me, they kind of pale in comparison to the higher badasses. Then A tier, Quinlan Voss, underrated, Pong Krell, kick-ass twist villain, General Grievous, awesome in Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, okay in Revenge of the Sith, and not good in Filoni's Clone Wars. Darth Vader, corrupted Anakin, Kit Fisto, badass aquatic Jedi, and Master Kenobi. They are awesome. These guys are awesome. They are good characters. Not the perfect 10 out of 10s I would have wished, but I can totally understand the hype they get and the fan love. They are pretty wicked. So they are going on A because they are definitely awesome characters. This was fun, Kat. Looking forward to what you have in store for the next reviews and tier list. Bye, Kat. Bye, Christopher. And finally, the S tier. Master Shakti. Don't worry, Bodhi, she made it up here because she's hot and she kicks ass, and Susan Eisenberg definitely made this role, but for me, Grey DeLisle's Shakti is also pretty underrated. Ahsoka Tano used to be my favorite Star Wars character. She was my Star Wars waifu for a time being, but Aayla Secura much better. Anyways, Ahsoka, she's still a good character in her own right, and definitely had a lot of the best episodes of Clone Wars. Anakin Skywalker, legendary, loved Hayden Christensen, loved Matt Lanter, loved James Earl Jones. Anakin is an awesome and tragic hero. Absolutely love him, and I'll give him the respect the Jedi never did. Aayla Secura, my Star Wars waifu. I love her with a passion. She is kick-ass, and yes, I do defend she is a kick-ass character too, especially in the Clone Wars and expanded comics. Aayla Secura is magical, so she makes it up to S because of my bias. Darth Maul, kick-ass villain, loved him in The Phantom Menace, and the Clone Wars made him even cooler. So awesome, he's voiced by Starkiller. That's all you need to know. Qui-Gon Jinn, fun main character, an epic hero, underrated Jedi, loved Liam Neeson's performance, and he actually made The Phantom Menace cool. Bye, Kat. Bye, Akira. Palpatine, awesome villain, one of the greatest villains of cinematic history. Enough said. He made Star Wars. R.I.P. Ian. And Yoda, he is the #1 Star Wars character. Awesome master, kick-ass Muppet, really fun, wise sage mentor character. Yoda is definitely the #1 Jedi warrior. So yeah, that pretty much completes our list. Snap a pic if you haven't seen them all, if I'm blocking you, my avatar. So this should be good. This is pretty much my list. Thank you guys for watching. My next tier list most likely might be another Power Rangers one because I'm trying to finish Lost Galaxy right now, but we'll see. Otherwise, I'm going to be going back to videos for a time being until I finish Lost Galaxy. But thank you all for watching. I hope you guys check out our next content, and thanks for just enjoying the show and interacting with me. I really appreciate it. You're all my younglings, Wolfpack. So yeah, that completes our list. Hope to see you guys on the next one. We do have Goosebumps videos on the way. 2 of them are on Patreon right now. Got a 3rd one working under development. But yeah, Goosebumps will be back, so don't worry. Next tier list, most likely Power Rangers, but we'll see when that comes. Anyways, thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I want to say, may the Force be with you.